Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Konoha, Homemade Eye Technique Plugin. Chapter 61. Uchiha Nanga, who is still in the Uchiha library, still doesn't know that because they are afraid of their own strength, Sarutobi Hiruzen and other senior officials racked their brains to plan such a complicated plan, and they were not prepared to kill him by force from beginning to end. He just wanted to force himself to leave Konoha on his own. When Uchiha Nanhi received the information from the spore technique, Uchiha Nanhi couldn't help but feel dumb. These people were too conservative. Without Shimura Danzo's long Aoshin, they were really not used to it. The other long Aoshin hasn't grown up yet, but now that the Uchiha clan is no longer in danger of annihilation, I wonder if Sasuke can still grow into the original Harutensuke. At this time, Uchiha Sasuke was depressed. Ever since I was dragged home from school that day, the whole world has changed. As soon as I returned to my family, I heard everyone cheering. After careful questioning, I found out that the Uchiha clan has been being targeted by a villain named Danzo Shimura. His father, brother and a graduate named Uchiha Nanhi led the tribe to kill the man. But just when he was about to go home to celebrate together, he was stoned by the children in the family. Although Sasuke was not the Harutsuke he later became, he had already developed his Tsunade attribute. He would knock the opponent down without saying a word. What's the matter? Naturally, you have to ask questions while lying down. This question immediately yielded something he couldn't believe. His gentle brother actually went crazy and killed several clan members. Fortunately, the senior stopped him and finally managed to persuade his brother to return to normal. Since that night, Sasuke has never seen his brother again. He has become an unpopular child in the clan. The children in the family are saying that he will definitely become a child like his brother in the future. Madman. Afterwards, a strange boy named Uchiha Nanga often came to visit his father at home. He spent all day in the family library. His father also asked him to respect him and call him Nanga-ni. Although Sasuke he was also very grateful that he could bring his brother back to normal, but in his heart, the only brother he had was Itachi. Just after Sasuke looked unconvinced and called Uchiha Nanga, hey, he would have a big bump on his head every time they met, and the other party even said that he was training him. After being unable to escape the opponent's clutches several times, Uchiha Sasuke also chose to give in. I'm not compromising with him. I heard that he is the most powerful person in the clan. At a young age, he obtained the highest pupil technique in the clan, the Mangekyo Sharingan. Although I don't know what kind of eyes it is, but it looks normal. From his father's attitude, he knew that the other party was very powerful. Therefore, in order to bring my brother back to stay with me and not make my parents sad all the time, I just want to temporarily gain his trust and let him train me. When I become stronger, I can beat him down. Quote. Since then, the title, Brother Nanhi, has often been on Uchiha Sasuke's lips. In fact, after Uchiha Sasuke heard that his brother was massacring members of his clan, he didn't believe anything he said. He even had several fights with many children in the clan because of this. However, after his brother disappeared and his parents confirmed it, he still reluctantly believed it. This fact. Uchiha Fugaku and his wife did not tell Sasuke that Uchiha Itachi left Konoha to track down the masked man. Therefore, Uchiha Sasuke received the news that Uchiha Itachi secretly rebelled against the village because he massacred his tribe and could not face it. Regarding this troublesome brother, Sasuke had to secretly make up his mind to practice hard. He must find the other person in the future, wake him up and bring him back. If he made a mistake, he should face it head on, and he would definitely help him then. Therefore, after learning how powerful Uchiha Minami was, he did not hesitate to call him brother. During this period, Uchiha Minagawa did frequently visit the clan leader's courtyard. First, Uchiha Fugaku admired his abilities very much and often came to him to discuss clan matters, as if he was training him as a future clan leader. Both of them were also brought by him on his own initiative. After all, the family's book collection is in the patriarch's house, and the basic ninjutsu materials that were moved back from the roots are also in the library behind the other party's courtyard. It was also during this time that I became familiar with Uchiha Sasuke. Now Sasuke is no longer the one who owes him money. Although he is a bit arrogant, he is still polite to others and has an attitude of asking for help. Uchiha Minami couldn't help but lament how miserable Uchiha Itachi in the original work had done to his younger brother. He was obviously a arrogant and cute little Shota, but he was tortured into a madman who only knew revenge and had no humanity at all. Of course, except for Naruto. Sasuke is still very grateful to this person who is more talented than his brother. If it weren't for him, his brother would probably have caused more sins, and because of him, he would not let the brother who only knew how to escape fall into deeper darkness. Today, Uchiha Sasuke is looking for this good person who has been training with him for free since his brother left. Yes, the first good person card Uchiha Minami received came from this Shota Sasuke. Arriving at the family library with ease, Uchiha Sasuke didn't know why this Nanga brother liked reading so much. He was obviously so powerful and had activated the most advanced pupil technique in the clan. Shouldn't he pursue more powerful strength? But the other party was reading these basic books here, which made Uchiha Sasuke a little confused. However, he couldn't care so much about adults' affairs, as long as the other party was still willing to train with him. Arriving at the library, Sasuke quickly found Uchiha Minga, who was reading a book with his Sharingan open. In order to memorize these basic knowledge faster, Uchiha Minagawa used the Sharingan. Although the Sharingan does not speed up memory, the powerful dynamic vision allows Uchiha Minami to achieve 1 eye and 10 lines. He now has strong mental power and can remember things quite quickly. Brother Nanhi, let's go practice together. Today I want to learn the throwing technique that can turn corners. Seeing this annoying little guy again, a look of helplessness flashed across Uchiha Minami's face. After all, accepting the kaleidoscope from Uchiha Itachi also represented his promise to the other party to take good care of his younger brother. Although the current Uchiha Sasuke is not as crazy about pursuing strength for revenge as in the original work, he has now found a new goal for himself to forcibly defeat Uchiha Itachi and capture him. Uchiha Minagawa could only sigh. Whether it was Uchiha Sasuke after the genocide in the original work, or Uchiha Sasuke who had not experienced genocide now, it was fate to be in conflict with Uchiha Itachi. He was worthy of being Uchiha's brother. Not only to make it easier for him to face Uchiha Madara and the Otsutsuki clan in the future, but also because of the other party's cute words, Brother Nanga, Uchiha Minami couldn't refuse the other party's request for training. After all, compared with Harutsuke in the original work, it's so interesting to look like this now, and it can be regarded as a way to relax my high-speed brain. Uchiha Nanhi put the scroll in his hand back on the bookshelf, took notes, and took Uchiha Sasuke to the family training ground. According to the usual practice, it was euphemistically called taijutsu sparring, and he would happily punch the opponent first. After drawing Uchiha Sasuke's senses to his own perception, he demonstrated some shuriken techniques unique to the Uchiha family. This kind of fine control is very easy for Uchiha Nanga, who has now activated the Mangekyo Sharingan. Just when Uchiha Nanhi finished demonstrating a round of flashy skills, he felt someone watching from the dark nearby. But the other party made no move to come forward. Uchiha Nanga first guessed that the other party was an Anbu member sent by Sarutobi Hiruzen to monitor him. Then I thought that this is the Uchiha family training ground. Even if the Anbu members monitor the Uchiha clan, they will only be on the periphery and will not enter the Uchiha clan. In addition, the other party did not deliberately hide their whereabouts when they came. It seemed that in order to deliberately let yourself know the other party's arrival. He knew that the other party was not looking for trouble. He probably had something to do with him, but it was not convenient to meet him. If this condition was met, Uchiha Nanga instantly guessed who the visitor was. So, Uchiha Nanhi waved to Sasuke. When the other party came over, he tapped his forehead with one finger and said excitedly, "My stupid brother, I have to leave for a while, so please don't move around here." "Oh, no, you are training here, don't be lazy, brother will be back soon." Quote. Then, with a look of resentment on Uchiha Sasuke's face, he disappeared on the training field in an instant. When Uchiha Nanhi saw the visitor, he was not surprised at all. "Kakashi, I haven't seen you for a few days. You seem to be in a very bad state right now." The other party now looks like he has stayed up late for several days, his face is full of depression, and his silver hair has lost its former luster. Uchiha Nanhi immediately understood that the other party had probably been investigating his father's affairs in the past few days. Perhaps he had never rested, and naturally had no time to take care of himself, so he was in such a mess now. Come to me now. Judging from your appearance, you have found out some truth. Well, as you said, my father's suicide should be the result of a high-level game. I first searched the village for those villagers who made the most noise that year. As you might expect, most of them moved away from Konoha for various reasons, and those who were not deeply involved also died during the Nine Tails Rebellion. It's over. This makes me even more suspicious that there is another conspiracy behind my father's death. Quote, then I went to investigate the teammate my father saved back then. But this man never appeared again because of his mission shortly after his father's death. The most surprising thing is that the village did not do any investigation when a Junin disappeared. Quote, when Kakashi said this, his whole body was shaking and his voice was trembling. Finally, I found this person's information in the files responsible for handling the root incident. And in this document, the details of that incident are clearly recorded. Seeing Kakashi's eyes red and gnashing his teeth, Uchiha Nanga also eased the current atmosphere at the right time. That ninja is from the root. As Uchiha Nanga spoke, Kakashi also softened a bit and no longer looked ferocious, but the hatred in his words still did not diminish at all. Yes, this mission is a conspiracy from beginning to end. No matter what, as long as my father takes over this mission, he is doomed to fail. Because the 4 people in the team, except for the father, are all members of the root. The mission they received was to sabotage this mission. Quote, the huge loss is even more nonsense. The mission itself does not exist, and the ninjas who blocked them were arranged in advance. It's really ridiculous. The recorded information shows that the order was issued by Danzo Shimura alone. Haha, when will Danzo Shimura be able to directly issue tasks to the Anbu commander? What's more, this is an S-level mission. Obviously, this kind of task can only come from the Hokage. It is unreasonable that both my father and I trust him as the Hokage. The most murderous one is this Hokage. Quote, at this point, Kakashi's face was filled with a sad smile, and he seemed to have lost the last bit of strength, covering his head and squatting on the ground. Seeing this, Uchiha Nanhi didn't know how to comfort him, so he could only encourage him in reverse. You don't have to be so decadent. Think about it, you still have a lot to do. Now that you have found out the truth, as a son of man, shouldn't you clear your father's name? Actually, in my opinion, your father may have understood the plan a long time ago, and then he chose to commit suicide carrying everything. In this way, not only will they stop embarrassing you and give you a better future, but also avoid conflicts with the village. In the end, Senior White Fang still cares about you and the village. You can have a great future and the village can become better. This is Senior White Fang's wish. Therefore, whether you are clearing the name of Senior White Fang, clearing the darkness from the village, or fulfilling Senior White Fang's wish, you should cheer up. This will not only make your father smile, but also prevent things like your father from happening again. Quote, Uchiha Nanhei's encouragement was still very useful. Kakashi thought of the smile that still remained on his father's face at the end, and understood the reason. He stood up again and said firmly, I will definitely fulfill my father's last wish and clear the darkness from the village. Having said this, Kakashi immediately raised his head, stared directly at Uchiha Nanhi, and asked extremely seriously. You Uchiha clan also have this plan, right? As the captain of the Secret Service, I was more or less aware of the previous high-level actions. They want to completely destroy your Uchiha clan, right? Unexpectedly, it was you who won in the end. Quote, but now that you have killed Danzo Shimura, your relationship with the higher-ups has been on fire. I think the one who wants the third Hokage to step down the most now is probably your Uchiha clan. I hope to join you. I don't know when you will do it. Uchiha Nanga was also a little surprised that Kakashi wanted to join the Uchiha camp so bluntly. He originally thought that he would need to expose some of the darkness of the higher-ups before he could win over him. Unexpectedly, when the other party saw the darkness that happened to his father, he directly asked to join. This also surprised Uchiha Nanhi. After all, the importance of winning over Kakashi has always been at the forefront of the plan. Not only because the other party has extremely high talent and experience and is naturally in the same camp as the Uchiha, but also because winning over the other party means winning over the person who is difficult to convince and extremely easy to be ignored. The existence that both Uchiha and the higher-ups of Konoha have subconsciously ignored is Metkai, known as the Blue Beast of Konoha. Indeed, given the other party's usually very nervous character, everyone would easily regard the other party as an ordinary Junin who only knows taijutsu. Only when specially reminded, a small number of people would know that the other party has a life-threatening move. The move, 8-Gate Dunjia. But he doesn't necessarily pay much attention to the 8-Gate dungeon. After all, his father, Mat Dai, had all 8 gates open and could only repel Kurigaku's 7 ninja swordsmen. This way, he killed 4 people and let 3 escape. The record is not difficult for a shadow-level powerhouse to achieve. What's more, it still requires long-term physical training, and then requires the cost of life to perform a one-time move. Whether it is time or the final result, the gain outweighs the loss. Therefore, even after Mat Dai achieved a good record, Konoha also improved the treatment of taijutsu ninjas. Only ninjas like Metkai have the possibility of promotion, but in the final analysis, they still do not pay enough attention and they will subconsciously ignore it. However, Uchiha Nanga, who had seen the terrifying speed and shocking attack power of Emperor Kai's battle with Madara 6 paths in the original work, would not be like those people and despise this seemingly out-of-touch taijutsu jonin. If the other party sided with the village's senior officials during the final showdown between Uchiha and the village's senior officials, and desperately activated the 8 gates of dungeon, I'm afraid that Uchiha's current good situation would be directly ruined by him. Although Metkai is not as powerful now as he was 8 years later, at his current age, he is basically fully developed, so there may not be much difference between his current strength and 8 years later. Once the 8 Doors dungeon is activated, I am afraid that only one of the Uchiha clan can escape with the help of his own virtualization ability. It cannot be Obito's simple time and space virtualization. After all, in the original work, he used the last kick of Yi-Kai to deal with Uchiha. When Haobara was in power, even the space was distorted. An attack of this magnitude would be useless even if he hid in the Kamui space like Obito. Therefore, when Uchiha Nanga brought down the top management of Konoha, he was unwilling to confront him head-on at all. Then, the best choice is to win over the other party or transfer the other party away from Konoha before taking action, but the transfer is very uncertain. If the top management of Konoha thinks of this person and urgently recalls or prevents the other party from leaving, in that case it's dangerous to come to Uchiha. After all, Metkai is a single-minded person who loves the village and his companions very much, and he respects Naruto very much. As long as Hiruzen Sarutobi spreads the will of fire and pours some dirty water on Uchiha at will, it means that Uchiha will threaten the village. With his arrogant personality, he would probably be willing to sacrifice his life for the village and Hokage at all costs. It is even more difficult to win over the other party. In the other party's world, there are only Kakashi, his companions, the village, and Hokage. Others have no chance to persuade the other party to change their ways. This shows the importance of Kakashi. It is said that Kakashi's status in Metkai's heart is definitely number 1, even above the village. During the Chunin examination in the original book, Metkai wanted to rescue Sarutobi Hiruzen who was trapped in the barrier, but he was able to give up the idea immediately just because of Kakashi's words, which shows that he trusts Kakashi in his heart. To what extent? Therefore, winning over Kakashi has a very high priority in Uchiha Minami's plan, but he didn't expect that before he had time to persuade him to win over, the other party would ask to join the Uchiha side in the crusade against Sarutobi Hiruzen and the senior officials. As a result, it was no longer possible for Metkai to stand on the opposite side of Uchiha. How could this not surprise Uchiha Nanga? So, Uchiha Nanga swept away his previous solemn expression, put his arm on Kakashi's shoulder with a smile on his face, and his tone was very kind. Haha, you are welcome to join, Kakashi, let us replant a tree for Konoha, and the old branches and leaves should be turned into nutrients. I believe this is not just your father, but those ancestors who devoted themselves to Konoha will also be happy with what we have done. Quote, but there's no rush now, we still need to win over more families and ninjas. I believe you also noticed that day. The major families and ninjas present were already very dissatisfied with Sarutobi Hiruzen, the Hokage. Not only because he and those senior officials have been holding on to power, Konoha has become weaker and weaker under their leadership, but also because they have shown a laissez-faire and even supportive attitude towards Danzo's actions, which has violated all people's interests. The reason why they have not taken any action is that the third-generation Hokage has been the Hokage all year round and has great prestige and strength in the village. They dare not act rashly. The other reason is that there is no one who can unite them. But now we, the Uchiha clan, have stood up and clearly declared war by arranging our chariots and horses to kill Danzo Shimura. As long as we put down our posture and extend an olive branch, I believe most of them will fall to our side, even if they don't have a clear position. In the end, he should also choose to sit back and watch. As long as we have enough supporters, our actions will not be considered rebellion, but rather defying power to bring order to Konoha. This will also leave no excuse for the daimyo and other ninja villages. Quote, hearing Uchiha Nanga's mature and solemn description, Kakashi also suppressed his murderous intention to immediately kill Sarutobi Hiruzen and the senior officials, clean up the poison in Konoha, and clear his father's name. Turning around to see this Uchiha boy who needed a foot to rest on his shoulders, Kakashi also showed a hint of admiration in his eyes. Well, okay, as you said, I didn't think carefully. Did you come up with all this? Seeing the admiration on Kakashi's face, Uchiha Nanga immediately realized that he was still a child and had gone too far. Although there were many young geniuses in the ninja world, they were usually based on strength and thought. If you want to think things through completely, you need experience to fill it in. Immediately, Uchiha Nanhi calmly took his hand away from Kakashi's shoulder, and did not forget to conceal it. No, this is all taught by the patriarch. Patriarch Fugaku saw that I had good talents and wanted to train me to be the next patriarch, so he taught me some analytical ideas. A hint of understanding appeared on Kakashi's face, and he had a clear explanation for the other party's performance on these matters and his ability to express his opinions on things from time to time. Otherwise, he really thought that this guy was whose reincarnation. After all, the legend of reincarnation is still very popular in the ninja world. Seeing the change in Kakashi's gaze at him, Uchiha Nanhi breathed a sigh of relief and immediately changed the topic. Why don't we come and have some sparring? I'm sure you can also think of it. Although it seems that the Mangekyo Sharingan is powerful at my age, it's all the blessing of the Mangekyo Sharingan. Putting this aside, his basic strength is quite wide, I hope you can give me some guidance. Originally, Uchiha Minami didn't want to disturb Kakashi at this time. After all, he looked like he hadn't rested for several days. However, in order to get rid of the previous embarrassment, Uchiha Minami was also happy to see Kakashi and has been studying in the library these days. Now is the time to practice. Okay, but I hope you can tell me later about what you mentioned last time about my two companions and the teacher. Although I have come across some secrets while investigating my father these days and have some doubts about their situation, I still need you to explain the details. Quote, no problem, I just hope you can calm down after knowing the truth. Remember, Konoha still needs you. Your father and teacher hope you can live a better life. After that, he stopped talking nonsense and headed directly to the previous training ground. At this time, Uchiha Sasuke was still working hard to train shuriken throwing, but judging from his frowning expression, the progress was not as expected. That's Itachi's younger brother, he's really a hard-working little guy. Kakashi, who followed, saw Sasuke's training and praised with admiration. Yes, haha, he is determined to defeat Itachi and capture him. Uchiha Nanhi responded, and shouted to Sasuke, my stupid brother, there is still no progress. Do you want me to give you some more? How many times will you demonstrate? When Sasuke heard Uchiha Nanhi's teasing words, he turned around angrily and roared, asshole, I'm not stupid, and I don't need you to teach me anymore. Just watch, I can perform that kind of throwing technique very quickly. Then he saw Kakashi following Uchiha Nanhi, and asked with confusion, who is he? Did you go to see him before? He doesn't seem to be from our Uchiha, why did he come to us? The Uchiha clan's training ground. When Uchiha Nanhi heard the other party's xenophobic words, he immediately swooped over, hit Uchiha Sasuke on the head with his head, and shouted angrily. How many times have I told you to be polite to outsiders? This is the training ground of the Uchiha clan. This is Konoha. Everyone in the village can come here. It is not the private territory of our Uchiha clan. Also, this is your senior, his name is Hatake Kakashi, but he created a ninja genius who became a Junin at the age of 12. He graduated at the age of 5 and was promoted to a Chunin at the age of 6. He is also unique in the entire ninja world. Look at what you are doing at the same age. You are a little kid. If you don't rush to please someone, you are still here to force me. Even your brother and I have to ask this senior for advice. Quote. When Uchiha Sasuke heard that the other party was so powerful, his eyes immediately lit up, and he ran straight to Kakashi and bowed to apologize. I'm sorry, Kakashi-senpai, please forgive me for being rude. After saying that, he raised his head and continued to ask with little stars in his eyes, did you really become a Jonin at the age of 12? Also, have you really taught my brother? Is it because of your teachings that he is so powerful? Kakashi looked helpless. He really couldn't handle a child, so he could only say modestly, it's not that powerful. Your brother did serve as my subordinate for a period of time, but he was very good in his own right, and I didn't teach him. What's wrong with him? But Sasuke looked like he didn't want to deceive the child, and was about to speak. At this time, Uchiha Nanga's voice interrupted the other person's continued attempts to entangle him. Okay, Sasuke, you will have plenty of time to ask for advice in the future. Now you stand aside. I want to discuss with Kakashi-senpai and ask for advice. You can observe carefully. After saying that, Uchiha Nanga lifted the unhappy Uchiha Sasuke to the edge of the training ground, and then came to stand not far from Lee Kakashi. Kakashi-senpai, please give me your advice. After the pre-battle greetings, Uchiha Nanga immediately opened the 3 Magatama Sharingan eyes and waited for the other party's confirmation with a serious face. When Kakashi nodded to indicate that he could start, Uchiha Nanga did not hesitate to throw out several shurikens with his left hand as a first move, drew a kunai with his right hand, and immediately sprinted forward. Kakashi was also unambiguous. His hands that were originally in his trouser pockets were exposed. He got into a fighting stance. He looked at the shurikens that were coming towards him and blocked all evasion routes. He waved the kunai in his hand continuously and instantly hit the enemy in front of him. Rei's shuriken opened. But at this moment, before he had time to worry about anything else, Uchiha Minami's figure followed closely behind him, and the kunai in his hand also thrust towards him when he was blocking the shuriken. Kakashi was worthy of being a battle-experienced master. Shinobu, with a light turn, dodged the kunai that Uchiha Minagawa was stabbing at. His right hand, which was originally holding the kunai high, moved downwards, intending to attack the opponent's arm that he had no time to retract. But Uchiha Nanga seemed to have expected it. The arm that was originally thrust out seemed to have used no force at all, and he quickly retracted it, blocking the kunai stabbed by Kakashi. Seeing through my dodge movements, even if it's too late to change my moves, it still leaves room for maneuver. Sharingan. It's really a useful blood successor limit, but I also had the Sharingan before, so. At the same time that Kakashi understood in his heart, the originally free left hand was already filled with lightning, and it instantly thrust into Uchiha Minga's unprepared right rib. When Uchiha Minami saw a glimmer of light in his peripheral vision, he was startled, knowing that it must be Kakashi who had already prepared the Chidori in the blind spot of his vision. However, although Uchiha Nanga has little fighting experience, he has watched a lot of martial arts scenes in his previous life. He has already summarized various parts of the human body that can be used as means of attack. Naturally, he will not ignore Kakashi's seemingly natural swing behind him, left hand. Suddenly the corners of his mouth turned up, and with the help of the opponent's downward slash, he fell backwards and at the same time kicked out, avoiding the opponent's attack, and kicked Kakashi's lower body. Kakashi didn't panic at all and flew back. It was too late, but it was so fast. Although the two fought several times, they only completed it in an instant. Just when Kakashi flew back, there was a sound of breaking through the air behind him, and Kakashi suddenly felt in his heart. Startled. No, it was the shurikens that attacked before. At that time, I only had time to block the frontal shurikens. Those shurikens that seemed to block the retreat became the key at this time. The Uchiha family's shurikens had no time to block them. Is there any special shuriken technique? It seems that the opponent's foundation is not necessarily as bad as stated. Quote. Just when the shuriken was about to attack Kakashi, bang, Kakashi suddenly disappeared on the spot, and the shuriken only hit a stand-in stake. Uchiha Nanhi and Kakashi were attacking and defending each other in a series. Uchiha Sasuke, who was watching from the side, was dazzled. His fists were clenched and his eyes were staring at the scene with gleaming eyes. He was also determined in his heart to surpass them in the future. So strong, I can't see clearly in many situations. Is this a duel between masters? I must learn their tricks, especially the one that emits thunder and lightning from my hands. It's really cool. After I learn all their tricks and defeat them, I can go and bring my brother back. Quote. Without using the Mangekyo Sharingan and wood release, Uchiha Nanga gradually became more and more difficult to fight against Kakashi, who had rich practical experience and was familiar with the Sharingan fighting method. What's more, Kakashi is known as a copy ninja. He has copied thousands of ninjutsu, and his response methods are also complicated and diverse. He can often catch Uchiha Minami off guard. After a period of time, Uchiha Minami has no choice but to he threw up his hands and admitted defeat in disgrace. However, during this period, Uchiha Nanga not only copied many seemingly unpowerful but very practical ninjutsu through the Sharingan, but also learned the experience and timing of using many taijutsu ninjutsu. This is also Kakashi's strength. This is also Uchiha Nanhei's biggest gain from this battle. Your strength is generally good, far beyond what you should have at your age. You are slightly lacking in battle experience. You could still have your own ideas and rhythm at first, but after I broke your design, you became passive and relied on the Sharingan to avoid and defend. This is not possible. At least when you see through the opponent's attack intention with Sharingan, you should consider defense and think about how to counterattack to regain the initiative. The substitute technique and the clone technique are very useful at this time. Seize the good opportunity when the ninjutsu collision is out of the opponent's field of vision, and use the clone or double to instantly switch from defense to offense. Quote. Similarly, you also need to grasp the opponent's movements. Every time he is out of your sight, it is likely that the opponent is preparing a killing move. As for head-to-head combat, as long as you don't have the strength to overwhelm, what matters more is the combination and release timing of ninjutsu. As for physical skills, I'm not particularly good at it. I can recommend you to meet a friend of mine who specializes in physical training. The Junin of the art. Quote. Kakashi commented on Uchiha Nanga's shortcomings and gave corresponding suggestions. While Uchiha Nanhi benefited a lot, he was very grateful to Kakashi for his guidance without any secrets. Thank you very much for Kakashi-senpai's guidance. Is this what senior is talking about, Metkai-senpai? I heard that he is a very hard-working person. He is the only one in the entire history of Konoha who has been promoted to Jonin just by relying on taijutsu. The presence. I would be grateful if I could get his guidance in the physical arts. Quote. In response to Uchiha Nanhei's gratitude, Kakashi just waved his hand to show that he didn't care, and then looked at Uchiha Sasuke with an excited face. Sasuke's heart surged as he was stared at, thinking that this senior who could defeat the most powerful Uchiha master wanted to take this opportunity to give him some guidance. But Uchiha Nanhi knew that it was impossible to guide children with Kakashi's character. After all, in the original work, the three Sasukes became Kakashi's subordinates and did not receive any guidance, let alone now. Now that the sparring is over, Kakashi can't wait any longer. He really wants to ask about Uchiha Obito and the others, but Uchiha Sasuke is here and he can't speak directly. The reason why he stares at each other is to signal him, means to leave. Uchiha Nanhi understood what Kakashi meant, turned to Sasuke and said, "My stupid brother, have you seen the gap between you and the masters? Why don't you go back and digest what you have gained today? Otherwise, how will you bring you back? Where is my brother?" Uchiha Nanga's words of, "bringing back my brother," instantly pierced Uchiha Sasuke's heart. After saying goodbye to Kakashi in a hurry, he immediately left and went home without even thinking of refuting that he was not stupid. Little did he realize that he would be able to digest his gains faster at the training ground and would also have the opportunity to experiment. Regarding Uchiha Sasuke's behavior of only saying hello to Kakashi when he left, Uchiha Nanhei's face was full of black lines. Harutsuke's character has begun to take shape, but he still lacks the education of Nanhei's love. As soon as Uchiha Sasuke left, Kakashi couldn't wait to ask Uchiha Obito about their affairs. "Now can you tell my teacher and Katsuna-sama what's the secret behind Obito and Rin's death?" Uchiha Nanhi also knew the other party's eagerness, so he chose to explain without further delay. Actually, we don't have exact information. Most of it is speculation. You can choose to believe it or not. First of all, Uchiha Obito is definitely still alive. Whether he was the mastermind behind the Nine Tails Rebellion or the one who joined forces with Danzo Shimura to destroy our Uchiha clan, it was also at that time that I took his right eye by surprise. The kaleidoscope of divine power confirmed the other party's identity. Judging from the fact that he can summon the Nine Tails and has been acting as Uchiha Madara should have saved him when you were at Kanobi Bridge. Before Uchiha Nanga could continue, Kakashi's exclamation interrupted him. You mean Madara Uchiha? Impossible. That person was already in the era of the first Hokage, and it is clearly recorded that the opponent was killed by the first Hokage. How could he still survive until the Third Ninja War? Haha, have you been killed? I don't know if you have heard of it. Our Uchiha clan has a forbidden technique called Izanagi that costs the Sharingan. Danzo Shimura covets our Uchi because of this forbidden technique. Uchiha Madara, the Sharingan of the Bo clan, should also have used this forbidden technique to deceive the first master. Uchiha Nanhi was not impatient at all with Kakashi's rebuttal, and patiently explained this possibility to the other party. I have heard about it. I heard that it is a super powerful illusion that can only be performed at the cost of at least 1/3 Magatama Sharingan. It is a terrifying forbidden technique that transforms all the disadvantages to oneself during this period into dreams. Kakashi, as an elite shinobi, who also served in the Anbu and participated in the operation to close the root base, naturally knew many unknown secrets. After all, the third Hokage's cronies, Anbu, were all defeated by Itachi Uchiha's genjutsu at that time because of his actions to destroy the Uchiha clan. Under the circumstances at that time, Sarutobi Hiruzen had no choice but to order Kakashi to lead a team to attack the Anbu base for finishing touches. It was also from the information at the root base that Kakashi learned about the existence of the masked man Uchiha Madara and the records of what he had done. Of course, the original White Fang mission, the Uchiha clan being ordered not to support the Nine Tails battlefield during the Nine Tails incident, and the records of Naruto's identity are also indispensable. This allowed Kakashi to completely lead to the Uchiha side. It was not what Uchiha Nanga thought. The other party only sided with him because of the White Fang incident. Yes, it's because of Izanagi that Madara Uchiha survived and was planning something in the dark. And saving Uchiha Obito should not be free. After all, the other party was from the time of the first generation. Even the Sage of Six Paths has become a legend. No matter how powerful he is, time will still be his biggest enemy. Although the other party is old, there are no special changes in the ninja world, which means that the other party's plan has not been completed. Saving Uchiha Obito is probably to allow him to continue to replace him to complete the unfinished work, planning. This can also explain why Uchiha Obito has always acted under the name Uchiha Madara. Quote, of course, in order to allow Uchiha Obito to complete his plan wholeheartedly, and also to enhance Uchiha Obito's strength, that's why you had the conflict with Nohara Rin and Kurigakure. When Kakashi heard this, he couldn't believe it for a moment. You mean to say that the conspiracy against Konoha that sealed the Three Tails into Lin's body was actually designed by Madara Uchiha to completely conquer Obito? How is that possible? That's Kurigakure and Three-Tailed, how could he command them? Haha, yes, that is the Three Tails. It is the ultimate weapon of the major ninja villages. Now among the 5 major ninja villages, only Konoha has the completed inheritance of the Uzumaki clan. Do you think Kurigakure would be such an idiot to send the Three Tails to your door? Are you not afraid that Nohara Rin will escape to Konoha and your teachers and the others will completely secure the seal of the Three Tails? Will the Three Tails eventually fall into the hands of Konoha? Kakashi thought of the sealing technique of the teacher and Kushina's sister, plus they both have the teacher's flying thunder god mark. Kurigakure couldn't possibly not know about it. If the teacher arrived and sealed the Three Tails in the middle, with the teacher's character, he would definitely. It was impossible to sacrifice Lin to return the Three Tails, then wouldn't they lose the Three Tails? No matter how Kurigakure looked at him, he wouldn't do such a stupid thing. In this way, it can only mean that using the Three Tails to attack Konoha was just a cover, and the real purpose was for another reason. Then when he fell down and woke up, everyone in Kurigakure died at the scene, and his Sharingan the eyes have also evolved to 3 Magatama, which can only explain that Obito has arrived. Thinking of this, Kakashi felt a chill all over, and understood that the truth was probably as analyzed by Uchiha Minagawa. From the beginning to the end, it was Uchiha Madara's conspiracy to let Uchiha Obito activate the Mangekyo Sharingan and conquer the other party. He himself Heilin is just a pawn in this conspiracy to completely plunge Obito into darkness. As for Kurigakure, don't you think that the blood mist since the 3rd Mizukage is too abnormal? Whose village doesn't work hard to cultivate young buds, and even if they have to sacrifice, they will only be in missions or on the battlefield, and will never consume them in endless internal fighting. So, I suspect that Kurigakure village was secretly controlled by Uchiha Madara as early as the 3rd Mizukage. Such breaking news shocked Kakashi to the point of being unable to recover. It was one of the 5 great ninja villages. As the leader of the 5 great ninja villages, Kage could be controlled by others. It was simply a fantasy. But Uchiha Nanga seemed to feel that this was not enough, and continued to make shocking revelations. And now when the 4th Mizukage was in power, things were fine in the first few years, but then his personality suddenly changed and he continued to implement the blood mist policy of the 3rd Mizukage period. Until now, the killings in the blood mist have become more and more ferocious. Most of the bloodstained families in the Hidden Mist village were wiped out. And at this point in time, right after Nohara-rin was killed by Kurigakure village, don't you think it's strange? Quote. This, you mean, these were all done by Obito later? How could he? Kakashi couldn't resist anymore. Thinking of Obito's obsession with Lin, how could he not take revenge on Kurigakure after knowing that it was Kurigakure's fault? It seems that you have also thought of the reason. This is the current Uchiha Obito, completely living the way Uchiha Madara wants to see. He killed his teacher and his wife, provoked conflicts between the Uchiha clan and the village, and finally personally tried to destroy his own family. A completely inhuman fool. Oh nostril, Kakashi said the name aimlessly. In his mind at this time, he even had the idea of how good it would be if the other party died on the Iwagakure battlefield at that time. Then his eyes became firm again. I will definitely kill this guy who abandoned the former Obito, and I will never let him continue to act like Obito. Kakashi made up his mind. Then admit that the current masked man is Uchiha Obito. You should also know something about what happened next. Maybe it was to take revenge on the 4th Hokage for not arriving at the scene to save Nohara-rin, maybe it was to weaken Konoha's power, or it was simply for Uchiha Madara's fight against Konoha and Uchiha. Because of his hatred, Uchiha Obito planned the subsequent Nine Tails Rebellion. And in this Nine Tails Rebellion, neither your teacher nor our Uchiha clan should have fallen behind. The reason lies with the current high-level officials of Konoha. Quote, if the top management of Konoha chooses to believe in the Uchiha clan, the head of the Fugaku clan at that time has activated the Mangekyo Sharingan. In that case, he will not hide his secrets. He will definitely be able to control the Nine Tails, and the Konoha village will not suffer so much. Even if the loss is huge, your teacher, the 4th Hokage, will not die in battle. All of this was brought about by the high-level officials of Konoha, led by Danzo Shimura, in order to squeeze out the Uchiha clan. Quote, taking a step back, even if the Uchiha clan did not dare to let the Uchiha clan get close to the Nine Tails because of the Sharingan in the Kyuubi's eyes, then Hiruzen Sarutobi, who was at the scene at the time, would have had a long time to cast the ghoul-ending seal. Kyuubi does not need the young 4th Hokage to perform this technique and sacrifice himself. At that time, Shimura Danzo and the roots under his leadership took no action at all and watched everything happen. Quote, how can such high-level officials of Konoha not make Konoha weaker and weaker? Therefore, even for Konoha, we must bring them down, judge them, and let them be ruined. Otherwise, it will not be enough to comfort those people who sacrifice for Konoha. Kakashi was still a little concerned about Uchiha Nanga's move to publicly try the village's top officials. After all, the other party was the Hokage. If such a scandal was exposed to the ninja world, it would also be harmful to Konoha. But after thinking about what happened to the teacher's orphan, Uzumaki Naruto, he lost all those scruples, clenched his fists, and looked in the direction of the Hokage building with a look of hatred. The original Kakashi had been very depressed after experiencing his relatives, friends and teachers leaving him. If he hadn't been accompanied by the works of Metkai and Jiraiya, he would have collapsed long ago. But genius is the existence that breaks the rules. When he was a boy, he almost reached the height that ordinary ninjas can reach in their lifetime. Therefore, even if he sank for a long time, he still stood above most people in the ninja world. After learning that all his tragedies were deliberately caused by others, he became more motivated, no longer confused, and jumped out of the previous barriers. Regarding the issue of the Uchiha clan and the village's senior officials, he no longer blindly believed in the authority of the Hokage, saw the true nature of things, and chose to side with the Uchiha. In the matter of Uchiha Obito, he no longer blindly thinks that the other party has other difficulties. Uchiha Madara's guidance is on the one hand, but killing his teacher and his wife and destroying his own clan completely abandons the basics of being a human being. This does not mean that bringing the other person back and letting him atone for his sins will make it over. Only denying the other person's existence is the best explanation for his former best friend. Because he got rid of the confusion of the past and began to consciously improve his strength, this also made Uchiha Minami more and more difficult in the battle in the next few days, and similarly, he gained more and more gains. Kakashi was originally a genius. His genius even surpassed Itachi Uchiha, a genius who could cast a powerful fireball at a glance. He even created Uchiha Sasuke at the age of 10. Chidori in the finale. Now, Kakashi has regained this talent, and coupled with the accumulation of life and death battles as an Anbu over the years, the speed of strength improvement is naturally not something that Uchiha Minagawa can keep up with just relying on learning. During this period, I also learned from Kakashi that Metkai was on a long-term mission and would return to the village in about half a month. Therefore, during this period of time, Uchiha Minagawa spent the morning reading in the clan and learning the basics of ninjutsu. In the afternoon, he went to Kakashi for practical training, teaching some ninja experiences that were not in the books, and occasionally experiencing them in person. He was about to live in the ninja school, to guide Uchiha Sasuke, and there was nothing in the clan that required him as an 11-year-old boy. The days were spent in such a simple way, but little did he know that Jiraiya and Tsunade were not as he imagined. They ignored Sarutobi Hiruzen's recall message. At this time, the two of them were walking back to the village together. In the message that Sarutobi Hiruzen sent to the two of them, he played the emotional card, emphatically recalling the tenderness between master and disciple, and even revealed that he was old and was now beyond his capabilities. Orochimaru defected, and his son he left again and ran to work as a guardian nin under the daimyo. The village was in decline and could not find a person to carry the burden. I hoped that they would miss me as an old man and come back to do their part for the village to continue to maintain. The sincere words full of true feelings, coupled with the tone of voice that revealed that he was about to die, moved Jiraiya, the prodigal son, to his core. Because of Toad Sage's prophecy, Jiraiya needed to find the son of the prophecy, and because he couldn't stand the darkness in the village and was unable to change it, he chose to escape and stay outside for a long time. However, Jiraiya's feelings for the village are still very deep. Even outside, he still cares about the village. In order not to miss the news about the village, as early as after the Third Ninja War, he arranged for his former subordinates to collect news about the village. Every once in a while, a message is sent using a toad. When I received the message from the teacher this time, I thought something had happened in the village. In order to know as soon as possible whether the matter was urgent, Jiraiya did not have time to find a place where no one was around, so he channeled directly next to the sleeping young lady. He came out of Toad and received the latest information from Konoha. At this glance, it was still the drama of fighting for power in the village, which made Jiraiya a little disgusted, but thinking of the news from the teacher, he still continued reading patiently, but he was shocked when he saw it. This time the matter is far from a simple struggle for power and profit. It was just a small-scale struggle for power. What Jiraiya couldn't accept the most was that this time the village's senior officials went so far. They didn't care about the interests of the village at all, and even planned to destroy the family in their own village. This family was the one who founded the ninja village. The Uchiha clan is destroying its foundation. For those arrogant Uchiha, Jiraiya naturally has no good impression, and of course he has no dislike. After all, there are still a group of Uchiha who sincerely contribute to the village. He is just a little unhappy with their arrogant attitude, but after all, they are all companions of the same village, and there is no need to exterminate them. However, fortunately, the high-level plan did not succeed. Instead, the Uchiha clan killed Shimura Danzo and his roots, which exposed the darkness of the roots. As for Shimura Danzo, Jiraiya is completely disgusted with him. Most of the darkness in the village is caused by him. If his teacher is a conspirator, then Shimura Danzo is an executioner, but due to the Jiraiya had no choice but to turn a blind eye to the teacher's protection. Now that the executioner has been killed by Uchiha, Jiraiya is still very happy. For Jiraiya, who has clearly seen the source of the struggle between all parties in the village and the top management of the village are actually two wholes. What he cares about is the entire Konoha village, rather than some of the village's higher-ups, at best had a special affection for Sarutobi Hiruzen, who taught him. But thinking about what happened to his respected White Fang Senpai, the situation of his disciples after becoming Hokage, and the living conditions of the disciples, orphans they received in the village, now he is using this method to trick them into going back, without caring about his own feelings. Jiraiya felt that the current teacher was so strange, and the relationship between teacher and student was getting weaker and weaker. Perhaps, this is his true face. Then I thought about how I had never gone back for so many years since the death of the fourth Hokage, but I had to go back after all, whether it was to take care of my disciples' orphans or for the stability of the village. Even if I despise the teacher's actions, I should still go back. One trip. Having made up his mind, Jiraiya stood up from his little sister's arms, kicked away the wine bottles scattered nearby, not forgetting to cover the other person with clothes, and strode out. Let's settle everything when we go back this time. After all, the village is still our village, and we can't let you continue to act like this. Well, let's go find Tsunade first. She has a lot of dissatisfaction with the village, so it will be more reliable to go back with her. Quote. As Tsunade's loyal licker, Jiraiya always ordered a sign of Tsunade when entering a custom shop. Naturally, he knew Tsunade's whereabouts. At this time, Tsunade also received news from Hiruzen Sarutobi. But after reading the message full of true feelings, Tsunade looked disdainful, smashed the message scroll and threw it away. After that, she continued as usual, visiting major casinos and izakayas, with no intention of returning to Konoha. No matter how Shizune tried to persuade her and analyzed what problems Konoha might have encountered that could not be solved, Tsunade remained unmoved. Although Tsunade did not have the intelligence that Jiraiya did after leaving the village, she still paid attention to it, but Tsunade, who had seen through the top management of Konoha, could read the hypocrisy between the lines. Naturally, she would not because of the warmth of Sarutobi Hiruzen's few words. He was so moved by the deception that he planned to return to Konoha. If Jiraiya was just disappointed with Konoha's higher-ups, then Tsunade was completely desperate. Why the Senju clan is gone? No one knows this better than Tsunade, the princess of the Senju clan. She was gambling and playing dice with the first Hokage Senju Hashirama during the First Ninja War. Naturally, I have already remembered it. Since her second grandfather died in battle and passed the Hokage to Sarutobi Hiruzen, the powerful members of the Senju clan have all become victims of Sarutobi Hiruzen's attempt to secure the position of Hokage, and the remaining ordinary clan members have become even more. Very few died in that open recruitment human experiment. The last clan member failed to retain the glory of the Senju, and was integrated into the ordinary people of Konoha by the kind teacher. They were all called part of the village. Now Tsunade can naturally understand that it's just a trick to covet the Senju clan's powerful physical talent. What's more, the sacrifice of his own brother, the last seedling of the Senju clan, is even more suspicious. As one of the three ninjas, Orochimaru was unable to protect his disciples, and all the internal organs of the last body were missing. How could this not make people suspicious? Later, Tsunade even investigated the past of Naoki, and her careless brother. He is often praised on the battlefield. At that time, they gave up the surname of Senju. Naturally, they could not be praised because of the Senju clan. Who these people touted were and what their purpose was, it is obvious from what happened later. Later, the death of Kato-dan was even more strange. As a ninja with long-range attacks, how could he be attacked to the kidneys from close range, and he fell alone in the dense forest? Although these doubts cannot be definitely proved to be the work of one of his own, whether it is the brother who is a direct line of the Senju who has been clamoring to be Hokage, or the reputation gained by the many ninjas he has saved with medical ninjutsu, it has become a threat to his power. This is also evidenced by Tsunade's awakening from White Fang's experience, and since then she has left Konoha as the higher-ups wished, and no one has contacted Tsunade during this period. Tsunade, who has seen everything clearly, will naturally not go back as they wish because of Sarutobi Hiruzen's emotional card, even if she accepts the position of Hokage. Soon, Jiraiya found Tsunade in the tavern. Seeing Tsunade's bad expression, Jiraiya understood that Tsunade must have received the news from the village. In order to maintain his grace in front of his crush, Jiraiya came to Tsunade's table with a big smile as usual, and without hesitation picked up the wine bottle in Tsunade's hand and started drinking. Jiraiya, you are courting death. Seeing that Jiraiya was trying to take advantage as always, Tsunade punched him with a strange power punch. Jiraiya quickly moved away, a smile on his face but still indifferent. Tsunade, after finally meeting old friends, you don't have to be so enthusiastic. I just drank your wine. I will make up for it right now. Don't worry, today's consumption will be counted on Toad Sage Jiraiya. Hearing that Jiraiya was about to give money, Tsunade immediately controlled her anger and stared at the smirking Jiraiya with eyes full of stars. Tsunade naturally knew why Jiraiya came here as soon as they met. It was just to lighten the mood to see that she was depressed. Tsunade also understands Jiraiya's intentions, but his lustful and careless character, his desire to pursue but his inactive behavior, have long been excluded from dating by Tsunade. Haha, good job, Jiraiya, take out all your money quickly. I'm going to kill everyone today. We'll split the winning 70/70ths. After Jiraiya finished playing tricks, he felt relieved when he saw that Tsunade was finally happy and yelling for her gambling money. With a serious face, he began to tell the reason why he came to see her this time. Okay, when I get your answer, I will give you all the money I have, but I hope you can seriously consider my next proposal. Seeing Jiraiya being so uncharacteristically generous, Tsunade became wary. You don't want to pursue me, do you? Let me tell you, there is no way. Jiraiya didn't care at all about Tsunade's decisive refusal. He touched the back of his head and said with a smile on his face. Of course not. This sage is Jiraiya-sama who has fascinated thousands of girls. How could he fall in love with a violent woman like you? This was what Tsunade despised about Jiraiya the most. Seeing that he was evading as always, she lost interest in caring about what he called him. Let's be honest, you won't come to me if it's okay. If you invite me back to Konoha, don't say it anymore. I won't go back to that disappointing place. Jiraiya was anxious when he heard it, but knowing Tsunade's thoughts, he knew that if he really told his intention directly, not only would Tsunade not be able to go back, but he would also be in trouble, so he planned to make a roundabout way and first telling what happened in Konoha made the other party happy. After all, he was not the only one who disliked Shimura Danzo. Haha, of course I'm not trying to persuade you to go back to the village. I'm here to share with you a very exciting thing that happened in the village recently. Tsunade became interested at this time, and Jiraiya was unambiguous. He directly explained how the top management of Konoha planned to exterminate the Uchiha clan, and then how the Uchiha clan counterattacked and killed Shimura Danzo and Nibi. Everything was detailed. A complete description of Shimura Danzo's evil deeds. Tsunade was very unhappy when she heard that another conflict broke out between the top management of Konoha and the Uchiha who were bullshit. With this kind of struggle for power, at most she was surprised that the teacher was as ruthless as ever, and then there was nothing more. Anyway, I don't care what happens to Konoha. Just when he was impatient and wanted to explode, he heard that the top management of Konoha was defeated, Shimura Danzo was killed, and finally the ugliness of the top management was exposed, and his mood instantly improved. Haha, those old guys finally got their comeuppance. Did they think that Uchiha would be as easy to control as our Senju? Those guys were called crazy ones by the second grandpa, and they wanted to give way silently. If the other party wipes out their clan, they won't be afraid of breaking their teeth. Speaking of the resistance of the Uchiha clan, Tsunade thought about how her Senju clan had disappeared without a trace, and she couldn't help but feel bad again, and she no longer felt like continuing to mock those old immortals. Seeing Tsunade's depressed mood, Jiraiya also made some guesses and stopped discussing the matter, instead talking about his own plans. I have never been back to the village since Minato's death. This time the Uchiha and the village's senior officials had too much trouble, and they all started to fight each other. But the village is still our village after all. The other villagers and ninjas are innocent. He didn't want them to get involved in the fight between the village's senior officials and the Uchiha clan. Moreover, once an all-out war breaks out between the Uchiha clan and the village's top management, the village's losses will definitely be huge, and other villages will seize the opportunity to invade the Land of Fire. At that time, Konoha was in danger. I didn't want the place where I was born and guarded to fall into war again, or even threaten to destroy the village. That would be a great disservice to the ancestors who fought for the village. Quote, now the village has fallen into an unprecedented period of weakness. If we continue to choose to stand aside, sooner or later Konoha will be divided by other ninja villages and will be unable to recover. Therefore, this time I plan to go back to completely quell these conflicts. The darkness in the village is also its time to be cleaned up. Tsunade, will you help me? Even if you don't think about it for the sake of the first and second generation Hokage, then think about your younger brother and Dan. They are both people who dream of becoming Hokage and protecting the village. Quote, hearing Jiraiya's determination, Tsunade looked at the other party in surprise. She couldn't believe that Jiraiya, who always liked to escape, could make up his mind at this time. But when I think about the fact that the village is indeed in a state of crisis, if we don't make changes and let those old guys do whatever they want, the village will sooner or later fall into the crisis of annihilation. It can be said that the village can no longer withstand any setbacks. This will also destroy the village. The last chance to get back on track. It's no wonder that Jiraiya, who has always avoided, can make up his mind. After all, in his heart, the importance of the village is higher than anyone else. After Jiraiya's invitation, Tsunade was extremely reluctant to return to that sad place, but as Jiraiya said, her great-grandfather, second grandfather, and younger brother all devoted their lives to Konoha. How could I really just sit back and watch? Jiraiya, you are a bit impressive to me. I never thought that you would be the first to make up your mind. I always thought that Orochimaru would be the first to clear up the darkness in the village. Indeed, if it had not happened for Uchiha Minagawa to protect the Uchiha clan against Shimura Danzo, Orochimaru would have been the first person to turn the long-stagnant windmill of Konoha again, and even paid for it the price of 2 hands. As for the Konoha collapse plan, it is just a cover. Otherwise, Orochimaru would not have had to kill the 4th Kazekage. If such a powerful fighter joined, then it would be the real Konoha collapse plan. How is it possible? How could I, the immortal, lose to that stupid snake? Lord Jiraiya has always been walking in front of that stupid snake. Obviously, Jiraiya, like Tsunade, believes that Orochimaru, a classmate, will eventually choose to take action because he can't stand the decay of Konoha. This is why in the original work, it is clear that Orochimaru came to Konoha to do evil, and the 3rd generation and Orochi the reason why Jiraiya was no longer present during the Maru War. Tsunade struggled for a while. If she was asked to go back and participate in the struggle between villages to suppress the Uchiha clan, or if she was asked to go back and inherit the position of Hokage and accept that mess, Tsunade would definitely not want to go back. But now that Jiraiya proposed to work with him to clear away the darkness in Konoha, inject fresh vitality, and save Konoha from danger, Tsunade had to be cautious. Let's talk first. I can go back and help you, but I will never take over the position of Hokage. Haha, you are still as disgusted with the position of Hokage as always. It doesn't matter. We still have some time. Now the Uchiha clan and the village's senior officials have fallen into a short stalemate. As long as we don't go back to break this balance, they should still return. The confrontation will continue. In this way, we can go back slowly, and you will also have the opportunity to enjoy the scenery along the way with this handsome guy like me. Quote. After saying that, he still laughed and winked at Tsunade. Seeing that he was still so dishonest, Tsunade punched Jiraiya and knocked him away, and even took away his wallet. After Tsunade handed her wallet to Shizune beside her and motioned for her to pay the bill, she came to the pit where Jiraiya fell to the ground. She saw Jiraiya rolling his eyes in the pit as if he was playing tricks, and his hands and feet were trembling and refused to come out. Tsunade was also a little helpless. This was the Jiraiya he was familiar with, the majestic Jiraiya just now, who would go to hell if I don't go to hell, was rare. Hey, you haven't told me yet, what will the Hokage do after this? Are we still going to let that old guy continue to be the Hokage? Seeing that Tsunade was talking about business, Jiraiya stopped smiling and revealed his plan. I plan to inspect the Uchiha clan first when I return to the village this time. Their relationship with the village is really bad, and they have always been outside the village, like a village within a village. But they are also part of Konoha and the family that founded the village. Since they have always been obsessed with the position of Hokage, it is better to see if they really have the ability to lead the village. If there are indeed people among them who are capable of taking charge, why not recommend them to become Hokage? Quote. Hearing that Jiraiya actually wanted to recommend an Uchiha person to be the Hokage, Tsunade was immediately shocked. Jiraiya didn't know if she could not know that, according to her second grandfather Senju Tobirama, the Uchiha clan is an extremely unstable clan whose emotions are easily swayed by emotions. How could such a person be allowed to serve as Hokage? In that case, the village would probably go in an unpredictable direction. So, Tsunade told Jiraiya the results of her second grandfather's research on the Uchiha clan. Jiraiya also frowned after hearing this. He didn't expect that behind the arrogance of the Uchiha clan, there was such a hidden danger. However, as expected of the hero Jiraiya, he soon became disapproving of this. Tsunade, I remember that the Uchiha clan and your Senju clan were mortal enemies during the Warring States period, right? So what? Jiraiya, are you itching again? How dare you doubt me? I didn't slander them for this reason. It's all true. Tsunade was furious in an instant, and was about to making a move. Jiraiya immediately interrupted. No, that's not what I meant, of course I know it's a fact. But, have you ever thought that the Uchiha clan has been fighting with your Senju clan for thousands of years? How could they be the kind of existence that doesn't care about anything when their brains are hot? Even if there are such tribesmen, I believe that most tribesmen still have the ability to think rationally, but they are more emotional, otherwise their tribe would not be able to survive until now. Quote. What's more, we didn't decide on the candidate immediately when we returned this time. There are so many Uchiha clan members, and there are always some talents that can be made. This is also done to appease the Uchiha clan and let them truly become a family with the village. Must try. Not to mention that Jiraiya persuaded Tsunade and was on his way back to the village. Now Uchiha Minami has experienced many battles with Kakashi, and has also enriched the fighting experience and methods of some regular ninjas. During this period, Uchiha Nenga also became familiar with his eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, and used it without any sluggishness. In addition, he continued to supplement the basic knowledge with the Sharingan these days, as well as what he learned through Kakashi. Based on actual combat experience, Uchiha Nenga's strength has steadily reached the Super Shadow level. Uchiha Minagawa was in a good mood. After feeling secretly proud, he began to plan for his next promotion. After all, his current strength was far from being qualified to walk sideways in the ninja world, not to mention the Otsutsuki clan outside the world. First of all, you need to learn a few would escape ninjutsu through the Book of Sealing. This is very effective in combat and against tailed beasts. The Flying Thunder God Jutsu that was originally coveted now has the ability of Uchiha Obito Kamui, but it doesn't need to be so, it's urgent. However, the knowledge of sealing technique, which has a very high upper limit, still needs to be studied further. After all, if you can't beat it, you can still use the seal, and the seal is effective on almost all strange and unsolvable ninjutsu and people. This is also a way to prevent others from dealing with you. You must not imitate Kagaya Otsutsuki. She was able to be sealed twice by the same seal. It has to be said that she has been lonely in the sealed space for thousands of years. If you want to learn, you must learn to compare. In defeating the Great Demon King, the demon sealing wave ended up being the decisive battle that ruined the opponent's last hope. After that comes the physical arts and the immortal arts. The best way to deal with the physical arts is to wait for Metkai to come back and ask him for advice. This is also the best way to deal with the 6 paths. Compared with the physical arts, the immortal arts are more uncertain. Battery life has become the biggest shortcoming. Of course, except for the explosive and desperate moves like 8-Gate Dungeon, Uchiha Minami naturally wants to learn this move. After all, 8-Gate Dungeon combined with Izanagi will definitely become Uchiha Minami's strongest trump card for a long time. It's just that 8-gate Dunjia requires a lot of physical exercise to open the door, and there will inevitably be a period of vacuum after the explosion. This will become the biggest limitation for using the forbidden technique of 8-gate Dunjia. Although he has such obvious shortcomings, he doesn't mind at all that Uchiha Minami covets these two abilities. However, Uchiha Minami pays more attention to celestial magic between the two. After all, this is a way to absorb external forces and strengthen himself. Using the thinking of previous lives, this is the basic condition for the sublimation of the essence of life. Chakra is synthesized from the human body. When you perform ninjutsu, you are constantly draining your own energy outwards, while senjutsu strengthens yourself inwardly. If you master the method of retaining this power for a long time, you may be able to like the immortals of the three holy places. They are powerful and have a long lifespan. Uchiha Nanga, who had planned his strength well, no longer delayed. Now that the eternal kaleidoscope can be used at will, it is time to give away the other god's Mangekyo Sharingan in his hand. This will be an important support to help Uchiha Fugaku ascend to the position of Hokage, and it will also be one of the guarantees for Uchiha Nanga to have an absolute status in the Uchiha clan. Soon Uchiha Nanhi found Uchiha Fugaku, who was handling matters in the security department. Uchiha Fugaku was also surprised by the arrival of Uchiha Nanhi, who had been obsessed with basic ninjutsu information for a long time. However, this did not reduce Uchiha Minga's status in Uchiha Fugaku's heart at all, and he quickly and warmly received Uchiha Minga. Mr. Nanhi is actually free to come to the security department. Do you need my help with anything? Don't worry, no matter what difficulties you encounter, I can help you solve it. Of course Uchiha Fugaku knew that when Uchiha Minga came to him, he must have something to do with him. The thing that could stump Uchiha Minga was naturally not about strength. It probably required his status as the clan leader to do it, so Uchiha Fugaku he was also unambiguous and assured directly. Please don't resist, Patriarch. This is not the place to talk. Uchiha Minami didn't delay. He went straight to the point and transferred Uchiha Fugaku and himself to the Kamui world. The Kamui world was the space that Uchiha Minami took for the new fusion name. Uchiha Fugaku was still a little panicked by Uchiha Minga's sudden attack, but after hearing Uchiha Minga's explanation, he also showed the magnanimity of a clan leader. He instantly regained his composure and looked at Uchiha Minga with an indifferent expression. The world of divine power. Is this your pupil skill, Nanhi-kun? It's the rare time and space pupil skill. It's really rare. No wonder you can defeat that masked man and Itachi. I wonder what you need from me when you invite me here. Seeing that Uchiha Fugaku could calm down so quickly, Uchiha Nanga immediately made an analysis and became more and more satisfied with the clan leader's senses. Then he took 2 culture bottles from a distance in Kamui space, and showed the Mangekyo Sharingan in them in front of Uchiha Fugaku with a smile on his face. Clan leader, does he know whose eyes these are? What, Mangekyo Sharingan, is this Shisui's eye? Uchiha Fugaku was amazed when he saw that the bottle actually contained the Mangekyo Sharingan. After hearing Uchiha Nanga's inquiry, he thought for a while and guessed that these were Uchiha Shisui's eyes. After all, among the Uchiha clan, there are only a few who activate the Mangekyo Sharingan. Then, he looked at Uchiha Nanga with a look of surprise. Why are Shisui's eyes in your hands? Oh, the patriarch discovered it. It is indeed Shisui's eyes. One of them was obtained from Danzo, and the other one was given to me by Itachi. I'm afraid this is where Shisui's eyes went after he committed suicide. Uchiha Nanhi didn't care about Uchiha Fugaku's suspicion, and patiently explained the origin of these Sharingan eyes. Is that so? It seems that Shisui managed to save one eye when he was being chased by Danzo. In the end, he probably died of serious injuries. He didn't want Uchiha to conflict with the village, so he lied that he was tired of fighting. And the one who committed suicide also gave the last Mangekyo Sharingan to Itachi, who was his best friend. Uchiha Fugaku thought for a while and guessed the situation at that time. Then what are you going to do with it now? There is no need to leave it to me. There is no one in the clan who is more suitable to preserve this pair of Mangekyo Sharingan than you. Do you want to transplant it to other tribesmen to enhance our combat effectiveness? Chapter 71. Uchiha Nanhi did not directly answer Uchiha Fugaku's question, and a smile broke out at the corner of his mouth. Haha, Lord Clan Leader, transplanting this pair of Mangekyo Sharingan to other people will not bring out its full potential. I wonder if the patriarch knows the legend about Uchiha Madara's eyes. Quote, I know, it is said that Uchiha Madara was the first member of the Uchiha clan to activate the Mangekyo Sharingan. This allowed him to compete with the first generation's wood release. However, his eyesight became weaker and weaker after that. In the end, he still only after transplanting his brother's eyes did he have eternal light. Do you want me to transplant Shisui's eyes too? That's impossible. There are records in the clan that this method of improving the Mangekyo Sharingan can only be done between brothers, at least those who are blood relatives. Although Shisui and I are of the same race, our blood relationship is far apart, so there is no way to achieve the eternal kaleidoscope. Quote, Uchiha Nanhi did not correct the fact that it was Indra who opened his eyes first. He just widened his eyes with a proud look on his face. Then please take a look, clan leader, what level of Sharingan my eyes are. Uchiha Minami approached Uchiha Fugaku in a playful manner. How is it possible? When Uchiha Fugaku felt the pupil power of Uchiha Nanga at a close distance, which was much more powerful than an ordinary kaleidoscope, he couldn't help but exclaimed. I remember that your previous kaleidoscope pattern was not like this, and you have this powerful pupil power. Did you evolve the eternal kaleidoscope? Then how did you find another pair of kaleidoscope Sharingan eyes that are related to you? Uchi-nami Fugaku asked in disbelief. No, is it possible that the clan leader has been here for so long and still doesn't know about my situation? I don't have any blood relatives, let alone asking them to activate the Mangekyo Sharingan. Then how did you advance to Eternal Kaleidoscope? Seeing Uchiha Fugaku's somewhat eager look, Uchiha Nanga also satisfied his bad taste and stopped showing off. I used the Mangekyo Sharingan of that masked man, and my Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan was not successfully transplanted. That's because when I awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan, I obtained a very magical pupil technique. This pupil technique allows me to easily merge with other people's blood inheritance boundaries. I also relied on this ability to fuse the Mangekyo Sharingan of the masked man, and was able to be promoted to the Eternal Mangekyo. Quote, it is naturally impossible for Uchiha Nanga to fully inform others of his abilities. This is his foundation in the ninja world, but now he has to help Uchiha Fugaku integrate Uchiha Shisui's Mangekyo Sharingan, so he has to expose some ability comes out. The ability exposed is just a derivative of his own ability, and it is also an auxiliary ability. Naturally, he is not afraid that someone may use this against him. After Uchiha Fugaku heard about Uchiha Manga's self-reported abilities, he had to lament the abnormality and variety of the Mangekyo Sharingan eye technique. He originally thought that his eye technique, which could deduce the future based on known conditions, was abnormal enough. Unexpectedly, the opponent's pupil technique not only has the ability of time and space, but can also integrate other people's blood inheritance limits. It's such a useful ability. Can your ability be used on others? This is beyond common sense. Yes, my ability is actually completed through this space. In this space, I am God. I can control everything in this space. Naturally, I can also fuse two pairs of Mangekyo Sharingan to become the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Quote, how about it? Does the Patriarch also want a pair of Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan? Uchiha Minagawa whetted his appetite and finally revealed his purpose, and as he wished, he saw another side of Uchiha Fugaku, the usually solemn-looking clan leader. At this time, Uchiha Fugaku had his mouth wide open, a dull look on his face, and his body was so trembling that he didn't know where to put his hands. That is the ultimate power of the Uchiha clan. Once, Uchiha Madara could rely on this power to subdue the major ninja villages and tailed beasts, and beat the first Hokages would escape in Sage mode to the point where his lifespan was greatly reduced. Now Uchiha Nanga said that as long as he nodded, he would have this power immediately. How could he not make Uchiha Fugaku lose his composure? At this time, Uchiha Fugaku had completely abandoned the reserve he should have as a clan leader, and confirmed to Uchiha Nanga with a trembling voice. Nanga-kun, can you really make me advance to the Eternal Kaleidoscope? Isn't this too magical? Those are the eyes of Shisui, who is not directly related to me by blood. Haha, Mr. Patriarch, it looks like you agree to fuse Shisui's eyes. Don't worry, strictly speaking, we Uchiha clan are all related by blood. Coupled with my absolute mastery of this space, it is not difficult to fuse 2 pairs of Mangekyo Sharingan. Quote. Uchiha Fugaku heard Uchiha Nanga's repeated assurances, and with his own example in front of him, he confirmed the feasibility of the matter. He was excited and happy, and immediately nodded to express his full agreement. Agree, haha, great, I really didn't expect that the glory of the Uchiha clan will be realized in our hands. Nanga-kun, I'm sorry to trouble you. I will be deeply grateful for your great kindness. Seeing that Uchiha Fugaku was still not complacent and did not forget his kindness to him in such an excited situation, Uchiha Nanga also nodded secretly, knowing that his efforts would not be in vain. This is actually a test for Uchiha Nanhi. As long as Uchiha Fugaku behaves appropriately, Uchiha Nanhi is willing to help him even if he doesn't say words of gratitude. As for the last test, we have to wait until the other party's fusion is completed. I believe that as long as the other party has second thoughts, in his own space, the other party will not be able to make any big waves. After all, except for some shortcomings in political action ability, Uchiha Fugaku is a qualified toolman in other aspects. Unlike Uchiha Itachi, the white-eyed wolf, although Uchiha Nanga will also use him, he will never really cultivate the opponent to become stronger. Who knows, one day he will think of it again, which will backfire on him. This kind of tiger breeding is dangerous. Uchiha Nanhi will naturally try to put an end to such things. No more nonsense. After telling Uchiha Fugaku not to resist, he started the fusion of Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Fugaku's 2 pairs of Mangekyo Sharingan in a familiar manner. With the experience of his own fusion last time, Uchiha Minagawa focused more on ensuring the stability of the fused Mangekyo Sharingan this time, while at the same time strengthening and accelerating the adaptability and adaptation process of the new eyes. Sure enough, with the blessing of Uchiha Minagawa's mobilization of space authority, Uchiha Fugaku's Mangekyo Sharingan was quickly evolved. In Uchiha Nanhei's perception, the newly integrated Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan no longer felt like it was about to collapse, and acted extremely stable. So, he opened his mouth and said to Uchiha Fugaku, who had been silently feeling the growing power of his pupils. Well, Mr. Patriarch, congratulations on your Mangekyo Sharingan being successfully promoted to the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. No matter how you use it in the future, you no longer have to worry about blindness. However, you still need to spend some time getting familiar with your new eyes so that you can use them as you wish. Moreover, Shisui's eye technique Bitenjin has also been integrated into your eyes at the same time, so you must have received the relevant information. Quote. As soon as Uchiha Nanga finished speaking, Uchiha Fugaku opened his eyes instantly, and the patterns in his eyes rotated wildly. After feeling the pupil surgery coming from the eternal kaleidoscope, he immediately showed an expression of disbelief. How is it possible? There is such a pupil technique. Doesn't this mean that you can turn anyone into your own puppet? This also made Uchiha Fugaku feel a lingering fear. You must know that in the past several clan meetings where military coups were discussed, he had seen Uchiha Shisui opening the Mangekyo Sharingan more than once and staring at him with a strange expression. At that time, I thought that the other party was dissatisfied with the radicalization of the tribe and signaled to me, the leader of the tribe, that the time had not come yet. Now it seems that maybe Shisui at that time wanted to use this pupil technique on him, the clan leader. Fortunately, Shisui didn't really make up his mind. I'm afraid the village's senior officials also chose to kill such a loyal opponent because they knew the horror of this pupil technique. How many people know about such a powerful illusion and are not afraid of it? Quote. While Uchiha Fugaku was happy, he was also very happy that he had obtained such a powerful eye technique. Uchiha Nanga smiled and said nothing, his eyes closely watching Uchiha Fugaku's every move. People's ambitions often lead to gaining too much. When you are still a beggar, you only think about food and clothing. You have a place to live, but when you become an emperor, you will think about living forever. Now that Uchiha Fugaku has not only obtained the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, but also possesses the Other Day God Eye technique that can enslave others at any time, it is possible that he will get carried away with this. Even if he is not sure about enslaving Uchiha Minga, who also has the Mangekyo Sharingan, it is possible. Attitude changed drastically. This is Uchiha Nanga's final test against Uchiha Fugaku. If the other party's attitude changes to an arrogant side, then he will definitely knock the other party into the dust while he is still in the world of Kamui. However, Uchiha Fugaku did not disappoint Uchiha Nanga. After laughing for a while, he immediately calmed down and solemnly expressed his gratitude to Uchiha Nanga again and promised to follow his lead. This made Uchiha Minami a little surprised. To be grateful to Uchiha Minami, train him as the next clan leader, and give him enough respect, which was expected by Uchiha Minami, but the other party said that he was the only one in his early 10 years. The kid is following his lead, which makes people suspicious. Uchiha Fugaku seemed to sense Uchiha Nanga's suspicion. Without waiting for him to ask, he immediately took the initiative to explain. Nanga-kun, you don't have to doubt it. I know I don't have much ability. If you had been born more than 10 years earlier and led the Uchiha clan, the Uchiha would not be in the situation they are in now. I am not a qualified clan leader, and I still regret that I did not withstand the pressure to help the 4th Hokage during the Nine Tails Rebellion, and later accepted the arrangement to relocate the clan. As a clan leader, I lack enough courage, but you were able to directly attack Danzo Shimura and the others, which is far beyond my reach. Quote, now, you have saved the Uchiha clan and you have extremely strong strength. In terms of ability and contribution, you are more outstanding than me, the clan leader. In addition to your help to me and Itachi, we have nothing to repay, so we have to this as how we express our gratitude. Uchiha Minagawa was very satisfied with Uchiha Fugaku's sincere words. This was a person who could recognize himself clearly. He was still grateful and did not get carried away even after gaining strength. This reassured Uchiha Minami. Therefore, Uchiha Minagawa was not stingy and directly told some information that Uchiha Fugaku did not understand. This was also treating the other party as one of his own, hoping that the other party could better deal with emergencies in future actions. Don't trust other gods too much. If your opponent is too strong or has a strong will, he is likely to notice changes in himself, and people's thoughts can change at any time. Other gods cannot control others for a long time. Also, be careful of the masked man. Although I have captured the opponent's Mangekyo Sharingan and the opponent has lost the space and time eye technique, the opponent is related to Uchiha Madara and may have spare eyes or other tricky abilities. Quote, by the way, he is Uchiha Obito who died in 3 battles. He was probably saved by Uchiha Madara and became his spokesperson. Uchiha Minagawa would not be like others, who clearly knew the identity of the enemy and told him that one side could effectively prevent it, but chose to conceal it because of various concerns, causing undesirable consequences, and then furiously revenge. Ah, it's him. Then the other Mangekyo Sharingan you took was the one from Kakashi. I heard from the tribe that you have been very close to Kakashi recently. It seems that you have convinced Kakashi. Uchiha Fugaku was surprised that Uchiha Obito was saved from death by Uchiha Madara, and immediately analyzed how Uchiha Nanga obtained a pair of Mangekyo Sharingan. After all, the masked man only had information about one Mangekyo. Uchiha Fugaku also knew it. Since Uchiha Nanga has fused the opponent's pair of Mangekyo Sharingan, it also proves the fact that the opponent is indeed Uchiha Obito. Yes, the reason for wooing Kakashi is not only for Uchiha Obito's Mangekyo Sharingan, but more importantly for Metkai's 8 Gates armor. This forbidden technique is underestimated from afar. If we are not careful, the opponent can completely collapse the good situation of our Uchiha clan. Even if we have the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, we will not be able to confront the opponent who has activated the 8 Gate armor formation. And by winning over Kakashi, based on the relationship between Kakashi and the other party, it is easy to win the other party over to the Uchiha side. Even if the other party is unwilling to take action against the 3rd generation and the others, they will only choose to stand by and watch, and the Hokage side the biggest threat is lost. Quote, Uchiha Nanga slowly pointed out the horror of Metkai's 8 Gate dungeon, also for Uchiha Fugaku to warn the clan members not only not to offend the other party at will, but also to try to win over them with a good attitude, at least not to create any bad feelings. I really didn't expect that the forbidden technique of 8-door Dunjia would be so powerful. When his father Mad Dai used it, the village did not pay attention to it because the disadvantages of this forbidden technique were seriously inconsistent with the effects achieved. Now it seems that this forbidden technique will have different powers in the hands of different people. Quote, Uchiha Fugaku was still willing to believe what Uchiha Nanga said was outrageous. Since the other party was so powerful and fearful of the forbidden technique, Uchiha Fugaku had to be cautious. Don't worry, I will warn the tribe to change their attitude towards each other. Seeing that Uchiha Fugaku paid enough attention to it, Uchiha Minami no longer emphasized it. After releasing Uchiha Fugaku from Kamui World, he went home and continued to learn the wood escape ninjutsu in the Book of Sealing. With the blessing of Sharingan and powerful chakra, Uchiha Minagawa learned several practical wood escape ninjutsu without spending much effort, and also added methods to deal with large psychic beasts or tailed beasts. For the next few days, Uchiha Nanhi was familiar with the newly learned wood escape ninjutsu, until Kakashi brought an energetic watermelon-headed uncle. When Kakashi and Metkai arrived, Uchiha Nanga was doing basic physical exercises alone at the training ground. Although he had awakened his immortal body and further strengthened it under the stimulation of Hashirama cells, even though he is only 11 years old now, his physique is already comparable to that of a Junin who has been training for a long time. But this is naturally far from reaching the limit of the immortal human body. You must know that Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara, who possesses the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, are still able to avoid falling behind in a taijutsu battle. It is enough to show that after the immortal human body was developed, its close body skills were no weaker than the terrifying dynamic vision blessing of the eternal kaleidoscope. Hey, are you the genius boy that Kakashi praised? You are working so hard to release your youth, I feel my blood is burning. Kakashi, seeing such a passionate young man, don't you want to have a youthful showdown with me? Quote. At this time, Uchiha Nanga, who was still immersed in the huge growth rate of the immortal body after training, did not notice the arrival of the two people at all, and was also startled by the surprised voice of Metkai who suddenly appeared next to him. Jump. Uchiha Minagawa jumped away instantly, but when he turned around, he realized it was Kakashi and Metkai, which was a bit embarrassing. After all, the person made the sound only after he got close to you. This kind of behavior is already very obvious, but he didn't feel it at all and was shocked. It shouldn't be. Kakashi also saw Uchiha Minami's embarrassment, and came to the rescue and said to Metkai. Yes, he is the Uchiha boy I introduced. He wants to learn taijutsu from you. As for the duel between us, let's leave it to later. Nowadays, Kakashi has stepped out of the shadow of his past and has the determination to continue to become stronger. Naturally, he will no longer ignore Metkai's invitation to a competition. Metkai, who is rough in appearance and delicate in heart, naturally feels this change in Kakashi. For Kakashi, his only close friend, Metkai is very concerned about him. He has tried various methods over the years to make this happen. The best friend got back on his feet, but with little success. Now there is an Uchiha boy who has done something that he has never done. Metkai is naturally very curious. After all, in the hearts of most people in Konoha, Uchiha's character is really not very lovable. Although the Uchiha I met after returning to the village this time has changed a lot from before, the proud face of Uchiha has long been deeply rooted in people's hearts, and it cannot be reversed so quickly. But now, it was an Uchiha who saved Kakashi from the darkness. Metkai was curious and very grateful at the same time, so when Kakashi suggested that the other party wanted to learn taijutsu from him, he did not hesitate. I agreed without hesitation. Well, then our 83rd duel will be postponed temporarily. Uchiha boy over there, I heard that you want to practice taijutsu with me. You know, the practice of physical arts is very hard. Are you really ready? Quote. Faced with Metkai's invitation, Uchiha Nanga was not surprised at all, but he was still a little frightened by the hardship mentioned by the other party. After all, if he practiced the method of practicing to the point of death, whether his immortal body could do it if he really endured it, Uchiha Nanhi felt unsure. To be honest, in Uchiha Nanga's view, Rock Lee and Metkai are not like the tail end of the crane at all. They are said to be examples of civilian ninjas changing their destiny, but if you look at who can practice like them, their bodies will suffer from physical depletion and hidden injuries. After all, most people will die suddenly. However, Uchiha Minagawa believed that he could still persevere with the immortal body. After these days of exercise, he found that high-intensity exercise was very beneficial to the development of the immortal body. If you want to survive well in this ninja world and not let others dictate your destiny, you must become strong. Now it is even more rare to get personal guidance from Emperor Kai, who is the strongest in physical skills, so Uchiha Minagawa did not without the slightest hesitation, he immediately responded enthusiastically. Of course, I feel honored to be guided by Senior Kai. Hard work is nothing, youth cannot be let down. Hearing the youthful words of the boy in front of him, Metkai's eyes immediately brightened, and he rushed to Uchiha Nanga in an instant, hugging him, crying with emotion and shouting. Youth should not be let down. What a passionate young man, he has understood the true meaning of youth at such a young age. It is so touching. Let's run 500 laps around Konoha now. After being moved, he didn't wait for Uchiha Nanga's answer. He took the other person's hand and dragged him away from the distance. Kakashi on the side looked shocked. He didn't expect that the other person could get along with Metkai so well. He thought, I will spend a lot of time talking. Youth, it seems that you have known Kai in advance. Well, I also ended up in peace. After sighing, Kakashi did not delay and started training on this training ground. Uchiha Nanhi quickly got rid of Metkai's pull and started running after him. Everyone who passed by along the way cast a surprised look. Forget about the green figure in front, after all, you can see it almost every day, but the young man wearing the Uchiha clan emblem behind him is something new. The boy behind is the Uchiha clan. How is that possible? That is a proud Uchiha, and he would run wildly on the street regardless of his image. Yes, do you think something happened to the Uchiha clan? These days, I feel that they are weird. Those paralyzed security guards will smile at you inexplicably. That smile is really penetrating. That's right, yesterday they helped Mrs. Tanaka move things. This is not Uchiha at all. Do you think they were stimulated by something? Should we stay away from them? What if they go crazy again and arrest us? Manage. What the hell, isn't this a good thing now? As long as they don't arrest people randomly, just be weird. Uchiha Minami didn't feel embarrassed. After all, this was also a kind of spiritual practice. He continued to run quickly to the rhythm of Metkai. At the beginning, Uchiha Minagawa relied on the powerful physical strength given by the immortal body to run at the same speed as Metkai, but the further he went, the harder it became. After 200 laps, he could only use his strong recovery ability, barely keeping up with the opponent. Metkai is also silently observing the state of Uchiha Nanga. Although in the original work, the two masters and apprentices, Metkai and Shaoli, seem to be training desperately, they are actually under the control of Metkai. With the reasonable exercise methods developed by his father, Mat Dai, throughout his life, coupled with his improvements after personal experience over the years, he has already formed a set of mature exercise methods that can fully squeeze the body to the extreme without damaging the body. Harmful to the body. But after observing Uchiha Nanga for a while, the other party's performance completely broke through. The experience summed up in the past also made Metkai a little worried. People's physical fitness is different. Some people are born with deficiencies, while others are born with strong physical fitness. But there is also a group of people who are usually full of energy, have very strong recovery and physical fitness, but in the end they do not survive middle age, and their lifespan is exhausted early, and they die miserably. Without knowing that Uchiha Minagawa had a fairy body, Metkai exploded with physical strength that was not weaker than that of an ordinary Junin when he saw that the other party was so young. Not only was he not surprised that the other party had extremely high physical skills, but he was worried that the other party would suffer from a disease. There is this disease that overdraws life. Therefore, when passing by the previous training ground again, Metkai stopped the warm-up exercise. When Kakashi saw that they had not completed the scheduled number of laps, and that Uchiha Minami clearly still had some energy left, he knew that something must have happened, probably something happened in the village, and the worried Kakashi immediately stopped. Train and prepare to learn something. When Kakashi came to the two of them, he saw Metkai looking at Uchiha Minami with a solemn face. It didn't look like something happened in the village, but rather like something happened to Uchiha Minami himself. Question. Kakashi, who was confused, did not make random guesses and asked directly to Metkai. What's wrong, Kai? Is there something wrong with Nanhi? Seeing Kakashi's arrival, Metkai stopped staring at the bewildered Uchiha Minami, turned to Kakashi who was walking over and said, Kakashi, is Nanhi suffering from some disease? His physical strength is very abnormal. He is able to keep up with me for a long time at his age. I suspect that it is at the expense of his life. Come and take a look. Look. Uchiha Nanhi was relieved when he heard that Metkai finally told the reason. The solemn look on his face before really scared him, and he thought that something really happened somewhere that he didn't notice. Question. Now that Uchiha Nanga knew the reason, he was also entangled. He didn't know whether he should tell them the fact that he had awakened the immortal body. Kakashi wasn't worried yet. After all, the other party was someone who had been in Anbu and had a strong sense of confidentiality, but he wasn't sure about Metkai. This time, when he and the other party were arrogantly exercising on the streets of Konoha, Hiruzen Sarutobi would definitely summon the other party and get information about him through the other party. With the other party's carefree character and the fact that he would not be on guard against Hiruzen Sarutobi, the Hokage, he would probably be tricked by Hiruzen Sarutobi, thus revealing that he had a fairy body. At that time, the top management of Konoha will be more defensive about themselves, and their actions will be restricted. Maybe they will also change their strategies towards them. If it was just to dispel Metkai's scruples and learn taijutsu, it would be more than worth the gain. This is why Uchiha Nanga and Kakashi did not tell Metkai that the Uchiha side planned to win over the other party in advance. When Kakashi came to Uchiha Nanhi and was about to check it out, he saw the other party's expression that was hesitant to speak. Kakashi immediately understood that Uchiha Nanga knew the cause of this situation. It was not a disease. Everyone had their own secrets, and Kakashi did not intend to get to the bottom of it. Therefore, Kakashi just did a simple inspection. There is no problem. He should be physically stronger than the average person, and it is not the result of consuming his lifespan. Well, it seems that he is also a genius in physical skills. Is that so? Yuxi, then Nanhi, let's have another youth showdown. This will also give you a more intuitive understanding of your current level. Quote. Metkai is not the kind of person who gets hung up on details. Now that Kakashi has confirmed it, he continues to shift his mind to understanding the specific physical skills of Uchiha Nanga. Uchiha Nanga did not hesitate, bowed to express his gratitude, and reminded, "Please give me guidance, Senior Kai. I'm going to do it." After saying that, he opened his Sharingan and exploded with force under his feet. He did not use throwing objects such as shurikens to gain an advantage. Since it was a taijutsu sparring, Uchiha Nanga also decided not to use any tricks and truly test his physical fitness, technical level. In an instant, Uchiha Nanga approached the prepared Metkai. When he got close, he immediately punched the opponent's chest with one fist, and guarded the chest with the other hand to prevent the attack from coming later, leaving room for defense. He used one foot to push back to increase the attack. Strength, 1 foot forward to stabilize your lower body. There is no way. Uchiha Nanga is too young and not tall enough now, so there is no way to attack other places. Of course, having seen many theories in his previous life and having practiced with Kakashi, Uchiha Nanga naturally knows that when facing an expert, your feet cannot leave the ground. Otherwise, you are likely to be hit by the opponent when you are in the air and unable to use your strength. Seize the opportunity to fight back. Seeing that the opponent was advancing and retreating well when attacking, Metkai nodded with satisfaction. While raising his hand to block the opponent's attack, he counterattacked with a punch without any tricks. Uchiha Nanhei's Sharingan caught the opponent's movements and immediately used his free hand to resist. So heavy. Before Uchiha Nanga could sigh, the opponent hit him with another knee. At this time, he had no other room to dodge, so he had to retract his front legs to defend himself, but this time his legs were obviously stronger, and he directly pushed Uchiha Minami away. Uchiha Nanga, who was flying back, did not forget to continue to lock the opponent's figure with the corner of his eyes. Seeing that Metkai was unwilling to give up, he continued to follow up. Uchiha Nanga understands that there is no way to dodge in the current situation where there is no way to borrow strength. If he continues to use physical skills to catch the opponent's attacks, he will still be knocked away, and then he will be unable to fall in the air. In this way, this duel will only be ended so hastily. In desperation, Uchiha Nanhi had no choice but to use other means. The moment his thoughts flashed, he immediately formed seals with his hands quickly. Art Fire Escape Ho Fireball. Fortunately, the powerful fireball technique was released before the opponent attacked. But what was shocking was that when Metkai saw this huge fireball, he did not dodge at all and shouted loudly. Noba Gang Force Whirlwind. Bang! Uchiha Nanga's hurried fireball, which had high hopes in order to gain time to land, was shattered by Metkai's kick. What? Can physical skills do such a thing? In Uchiha Nanga's view, ninjas are a fragile profession. Any hidden ninjutsu weapon, the ninja must either choose to dodge or use other ninjutsu to resist. It is impossible to choose to directly blast away. Even the Thunder Escape Chakra mode of the Raikage series uses thunder and lightning all over the body for defense. If they were just physically resisting, the Raikage's hair wouldn't be so thick. It's impossible for their hair to be trained to be invulnerable to ninjutsu. But what does he see now? Metkai actually dispelled the ninjutsu with a kick, which had to make Uchiha Minagawa refresh his outlook on life. Just when Uchiha Nanhi was shocked, Metkai had already invaded his side, and when he landed, the hand knife was placed on his neck. Uchiha Minagawa didn't react at this time. He didn't expect that he would be defeated so easily with his Sharingan activated. He thought he could last for a few rounds. But now is not the time to care about this. Uchiha Nanhi immediately summed up his mistakes in this battle. Seeing that the other party was deep in thought, Metkai did not interrupt him and silently retreated to Kakashi, watching him together. First of all, although my physical strength is okay, my physical strength is very lacking. My ability to resist blows is too weak. After being attacked by the opponent, I simply cannot exert my full strength due to factors such as pain. Secondly, there is not enough room for maneuver. Since there is no effective means at close range and the strength is not as good as the opponent's, there should be enough room for error, so that we will not fall into the same situation just now. However, in the final analysis, the strength is still too weak. As the saying goes, one force can defeat all means, physical collision, as long as there is enough strength and the opponent is not sneak attacked to the weak point during the battle, the opponent will be repelled. The matter should be something that the other party needs to consider. Thinking about this, Uchiha Nanhi also kind of likes this kind of fist-to-bone, head-on fighting style. The only shortcoming is that if the enemy uses long-range attacks, this fighting method can easily be kited by others. This is also the reason why there are very few pure taijutsu ninjas in the ninja world. However, Metkai's method of directly blasting away Go's fireball just now gave Uchiha Nanga hope that taijutsu would become the most effective method. After thinking about it for a moment, Uchiha Nanhi remembered that Metkai had done this kind of thing in the Chunin examination in the original book. At the last moment of the battle between Shaoli and Gaara, Gaara was about to kill Shaoli. As a teacher, Metkai suddenly appeared on the scene and dispelled the opponent's sand ninjutsu with one blow. After all, it was a physical ninjutsu with a real contact form, but the Go fireball was a completely energy-based attack. Unexpectedly, the opponent could defeat even this ninjutsu, which had to shock Uchiha Minagawa. Therefore, this method made Uchiha Nanga more excited than the 8-gate Dunjia, and he was determined to learn it. As long as this method is available, it basically makes up for the only shortcoming of taijutsu ninjas who have to fight in close combat and are easily targeted by kites. Imagine that the opponent knows that you are a taijutsu ninja and chooses the tactic of releasing ninjutsu and hidden weapons remotely. However, long-range attacks will definitely consume energy and take time during the flight. During this period, you can completely rely on the speed and reaction power blessed by powerful physical skills and choose to dodge, which will not only make the opponent's attack miss, but also consume the opponent. In this way, one side will have more spare power to deal with other attacks. Even if the opponent releases a wide range of ninjutsu and cannot dodge, you can also use a move like Metkai to directly defeat the frontal attack, and attack from other directions will be completely defeated. Can be ignored. This kind of small-scale response will not consume more than the opponent's covering attack. As a result, the balance of victory and defeat will naturally be biased towards the side of the taijutsu ninja. Not to mention the taijutsu ninja's continuous combat capability, super fast reaction speed and movement speed. As long as they get close, it becomes the taijutsu ninja's specialty. If you can do it within a short distance, there is no problem in destroying the enemy's country. Thinking about this, Uchiha Nanhi couldn't help but think of another anime that is quite popular in the Naruto world now, and that is Dragon Ball. In Dragon Ball, there are many such scenes. When the combat power is higher than that of the opponent, the energy bombs released by the opponent will often be directly shot away. The person who is shot away will not even change his eyes. Some when you're empty, you can also blow some air into the sea. I have to say, that look is really cool. I had this question when I first watched Dragon Ball and Ultraman. Obviously, in the end, the protagonist relies on the ultimate move to destroy the enemy, so why not just use the ultimate move to kill the enemy from the beginning, and wait until he is almost exhausted before using it? Isn't it unnecessary? Later, after reading many analyses, they all became supporters of melee combat. Remotely releasing your ultimate move can only be successful if it can really hit the opponent and the opponent has no time to respond. Otherwise, you will not only waste your own physical strength and energy, but also give the opponent a chance to counterattack. After all, long-range attacks not only give the enemy time to react and dodge, but are also consumed during the flight, which is far less efficient than a direct attack in close combat. Therefore, among experts of equal strength, this kind of inconspicuous matter will become the key to victory. Of course, in a crushing level battle, there are no such concerns. You can just bounce the energy over and everything will be over. However, if you have no fighting experience in this area for a long time and rely only on brute force to crush you, when you really encounter an opponent of comparable strength, you will definitely become the one being crushed due to lack of sufficient experience, let alone against an opponent stronger than myself. It seems that I need to learn from Tsunade how to use chakra to enhance physical strength. If this can be developed like chi, which can directly strengthen the physical body, and coupled with Metkai's method of directly dispersing ninjutsu, we can completely achieve the fighting style in Dragon Ball. Quote, perhaps Tsunade's strange power technique has the ability to bless the physical body. Otherwise, with such great destructive power, the counter-shock force alone would be enough for the person who cast it to drink a pot. After thinking about this, Uchiha Nanhi seemed to have turned on a taboo switch, no longer obsessed with those ninjutsu with many functions. On the contrary, I feel that ninjutsu is a bit fancy, and ninjutsu is the kingly way. As for ninjutsu, you only need a few practical auxiliary combat skills. For example, the sealing technique is compared to the magic sealing wave, the medical ninjutsu is compared to the fairy beans, and the flying thunder god technique is compared to teleportation. At the same time, I also thought about how to use my own Kamui world. I can completely control everything in the Kamui world and develop ninjutsu that suits me. I can also manifest corresponding opponents and hone my fighting skills. And if you want to go far enough on this road, it is also top priority to continue to replenish your bloodline and obtain a body with great potential. In addition, in terms of body strengthening, it can also absorb natural energy and enhance the essence of life like the three holy lands. As for the dangers involved, now that there is a divine world that can connect to the outside world, it can be done inside, which can minimize the risks. Uchiha Nanga did not expect that in the past, he only followed the steps and learned from other time travelers, seeking Otsutsuki's six-path power, and only the kaleidoscope eye technique became a special step. But now, after just one battle with Metkai, he completely ignored the biggest feature of ninjutsu in the ninja world, and instead decided on the direction of training in taijutsu that was not favored by the public. When Uchiha Nanhi thought of this, he couldn't wait to learn this ability. He no longer hesitated and stood up directly to ask Metkai for advice. Thank you, Senior Kai, for your advice. I wonder how Senior managed to defeat the How Fireball just now. This method is simply good news for taijutsu ninjas. If this method can defeat most long-range ninjutsu, taijutsu will be something that everyone is willing to spend a lot of effort to practice. Quote, seeing this Uchiha genius boy who was no weaker than Kakashi back then, praising his moves with admiration on his face, a proud look immediately appeared on Metkai's face. He turned his head and patted Kakashi on the shoulder with his eyes full of excitement. He looked at Kakashi. Ha ha ha, did you hear that? Kakashi, I am not exaggerating at all when I say that just by practicing physical skills, you can achieve extraordinary things. Kakashi's reaction was flat, and he directly attacked him with words, that's just the basic use of chakra. Metkai's expression instantly fell. He originally thought that this close friend would be impressed by him after seeing the latest moves he had mastered, and would join in the passion of youthful sweat. As expected, he is indeed my lifelong opponent. He saw through the new tricks I took so much trouble to understand at a glance. No, let's start our 83rd competition now. Kakashi, I will definitely defeat you. Now but 42 versus 41. Metkai immediately regained his enthusiasm, gave a thumbs up, showed his white teeth, and proudly invited Kakashi to compete. Okay, but there are still people over there waiting for your answer. Are you going to just leave a junior who is interested in taijutsu and who admires you aside? Kakashi didn't care about the other party's provocation, just pointed at Uchiha Nanhi with an innocent face. Ah, I'm sorry, I forgot about Nanga-kun. Metkai immediately reacted and raised his hand to apologize to Uchiha Nanga. It's okay, Kai-senpai. Uchiha Minami immediately shook his head and said it was okay. He knew that the other person's cramped character at that time would only appear normal when facing Kakashi, so he didn't care at all. Well, I believe that a young and passionate junior like you will definitely understand the importance of the agreement between a man like me and Kakashi. As for the question you just asked, as Kakashi said, it is actually a basic use of chakra. To put it bluntly, it is just a skill like climbing a tree and treading water. Since chakra can be attached to the soles of the feet while standing on trees and water, it means that chakra has two properties, gravity and repulsion. I just attached this property to the legs and enlarged its repulsion properties and area, and that's it. The action just now. Quote. Holy shit, aren't these Shinra Tensang and Wanxiang Tenyan? Uchiha Minami was shocked for a moment. He didn't expect that the exclusive ability of the Samsara Eye Tendo was actually hidden in the chakra that everyone uses daily from the beginning. Before Uchiha Nanhi could think too much, Metkai gave him a thumbs up, grinned his shining white teeth, and encouraged Uchiha Nanhi passionately. Come on, young man, this requires you to train your chakra control ability in order to do the same thing as me. There is no upper limit to taijutsu. Your basic taijutsu has been trained by the Uchiha family and the ninja school, and it is already very good. What you lack now is sufficient physical strength. With your terrifying physical talent, I believe you will soon be able to you can achieve extraordinary achievements in physical skills. Quote. After saying that, without waiting for Uchiha Nanga's reply, he immediately picked up Kakashi, who was not prepared at all, and prepared to find a place for the competition. Uchiha Nanga didn't pay much attention to Metkai's fiery personality, and returned to the surprising discovery of chakra just now. Yes, chakra does not only have those 7 basic attributes. In fact, the exclusive ability of the Samsara Eye used by Nagato is an enlarged version of the attributes possessed by chakra. The heavenly path corresponds to chakra's gravitational and repulsive characteristics, the Asura path corresponds to chakra's ability to bless the body and shape all things, the animal path corresponds to chakra's space contract characteristics, the human path corresponds to chakra's ability to read memories and touch the soul, and the hell path corresponds to chakra's ability to read memories and touch the soul. The characteristics of carrot erosion and repair. The hungry ghost path corresponds to the characteristics of chakra absorption and assimilation, and the outer path corresponds to the characteristics of chakra that can link life and death. The author is talking nonsense, chakra really has that meaning asterisk. As expected of the almighty chakra, it's just that ordinary people don't have the ability to display these characteristics as intuitively as the Samsara Eye. However, various techniques have been developed to successfully achieve the same effect, and some have even been strengthened. Of course, some have been ignored. Quote. Just like medical ninjutsu fully demonstrates the abilities of the Hell Path, Flying Thunder God and spiritualism are not inferior to those of the Beast Path. Deidara's explosive escape and the puppet control of Sand Hidden Village are no less than those of the Shira Path, and the Yamanaka family mysterious techniques, reincarnation from filthy soil, and sealing away corpses and ghosts are all equally inferior to those of human beings and heretics. Even in the hungry ghost path, there are people and objects like glue machines and red copper armors. They have the same abilities. Only the repulsion and gravity are only used to facilitate the actions of ninjas. The use of the Supreme Light was only used by Tsunade and the others when they learned about the ability of heaven. Quote. Thinking of this, Uchiha Minagawa also felt regretful that no one had developed a corresponding ninjutsu for such a powerful characteristic. That was the Shinra Tensei that was so powerful that it could rebound all things. Especially the Super Shinra Tensei. With such a powerful force, if it is released in a fixed direction, even the Nine Tails may not be able to resist it. No, think about the weight that Xiao Li dropped in the original work. If they didn't maintain the repulsion of chakra at all times, the ground they walked on would have been full of potholes. It seems that the ones with the deepest research in this area are these taijutsu ninjas who train with weights. Although they have not deliberately developed this ability, their long-term use of repulsion to keep the ground from being stepped on will subtly cultivate this ability to a higher level. This is probably why Senior Kai was able to develop such a move. Quote, even when the original work fought against Six Paths Madara, the move of being able to walk through the air was not entirely achieved by relying on extremely strong speed and powerful chakra. This kind of repulsive force application skills may occupy a huge factor. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so few ninjas in the ninja world who can fly on their own. The light and heavy rock art is like a trick. Only people at the level of Nagato and Six Paths can fly in the sky without relying on external forces. Objects fly freely, and it looks a bit like Wukongjutsu. At this time, Kakashi and Metkai, who had finished their competition, were lying on the Hokage rock, breathing heavily. But just after lying down, Metkai suddenly became passionate again like a machine that never gets tired. Yoshi, you are indeed my lifelong rival. I didn't expect that you would even the score again. It's decided, I must win it back next time. In order to punish this failure, I decided to do 3,000 push-ups first. If I can't do it, I will stand on my head and circle Konoha 500 times. Kakashi looked unsurprised and ignored Metkai's impossible task. Not to mention that both sides were exhausted after the previous competition, even the terrifying weight on the opponent's body was completely unbearable. I couldn't stand it until I finished 500 push-ups. Now he just wants to take a good rest for a while and enjoy the sense of fulfillment after exhaustion without doing anything or thinking about anything. I'm afraid this is the life that my father has worked hard for all his life and wants. Before Kakashi could finish his sigh, he heard Metkai's somewhat serious voice coming from the side. Kakashi, what happened in the village? Although I am not good at socializing, I still felt an unusual atmosphere in the village since I returned. And you, who had always been unmotivated, actually cheered up and even took the initiative to contact the Uchiha clan. Is it because of the changes brought about by that boy just now? Quote, an unexpected intuition. I really can't hide anything from you. Kakashi looked at Metkai in surprise, who had stopped practicing. Well, it's not a big deal. It was just that the Uchiha clan found out the truth about human experimentation back then, and they also pulled out and killed Danzo Shimura, who coveted the limits of their clan's blood inheritance and secret techniques, along with his roots. Quote, Uchiha Nanhi had no idea that Kakashi actually told Metkai everything like this, and he did not expect how deep the relationship between the two of them was. In Uchiha Nanga's view, telling the other party just before launching the plan not only protects one's own side and prevents Sarutobi and Hiruzen from leaking the secret, but also protects Metkai. After all, his character is very good. Maybe he was deceived by Hiruzen Sarutobi and asked you to count the money for him. But this was not the case in Kakashi's eyes. He knew that his best friend was a human being, and he knew that even if he told the other person, with the other person's intuition comparable to that of a beast, he would still know the seriousness of the matter even if he was sniffing the roses with a tiger in his heart. It is impossible to be tricked until the other party has made up his mind on which side he is on. The reason why he didn't tell the other party directly was because he didn't want to embarrass the other party, but as long as the other party asked, Kakashi would tell the other party without reservation. This was also the tacit understanding between the two good friends. After all, at the end of the original work, apart from Anko who loved Maruko alone and turned into a real Maruko, only Kakashi and Metkai were left to support each other. At this time, Uchiha Minga had left the training ground and came to the river. He was closing his eyes and carefully feeling it, walking on the water as a matter of course. This high-level technique derived from the ninja's exercise in chakra control, but it hides a power that surprised even the two-toed sages, Jiraiya and Myobokuyama. After feeling it carefully, Uchiha Minami realized that his guess was indeed correct. The ability to repel water under his feet was an inherent characteristic of chakra. And because the synthesis of chakra involves the participation of its own spiritual power, when consciously walking on the water, chakra will respond to the original owner's expectations and reflect its own repulsive characteristics, thereby combining other characteristics hidden. Presumably when you bear a heavy weight, it will only increase the amount of chakra released and the area covered will increase. Chakra is fine only if it is in the body, and the dissipation speed is very slight, but it is fine if it is attached to the body surface, and the dissipation speed is acceptable, but it needs to cover a large area, and the consumption after leaving the body is a bit fast. Quote, "It seems that we have to get the star from Shingen village early. As for the star in Hoshigakure village in the land of bears, Uchiha Minami has been coveting it for a long time. If he hadn't been busy with something, the first thing Uchiha manga would want to obtain in the ninja world would be that star." Regarding the origin of this star, there is not much record in the original book, except that it fell from space 200 years ago. However, in Uchiha Minagawa's memories of his past life, he speculated that this star was probably a part of the Ten Tails. It was a part of the Ten Tails body that was knocked off when the Six Paths Sage brothers fought against their mother Kagaya Otsutsuki. For some unknown reason, it has been floating in space until it fell to the Bear Country 200 years ago due to some coincidence. Then it was discovered by the first generation of Star Shadow at that time, and based on this, the peacock magic was developed. Thus the Star Hidden Village was formed. Judging from the many marks on the shoulders of the heretic demon statue that looked like they had been cut off directly by sharp weapons, many parts of the Ten Tails body did fall off during the war. This guess of many netizens is naturally well-founded. Uchiha Minami, I also agree with this guess. That is part of the complete Ten Tails body. According to the characteristics of the creature, that part must also contain complete Ten Tails information. As long as Uchiha Nanga gets it, he will probably be able to analyze all the secrets of the Ten Tails by virtue of the special characteristics of the world of Kamui. Therefore, he will not need to collect other bloodlines from the ninja world and directly complete the bloodline of the Ten Tails line passed down by the Sage of Six Paths. And it is more complete than the Six Paths Immortal. Judging from the original work, this star has been releasing radioactive chakra outwards, which means that the function of differentiated cells should be to absorb natural forces from the outside world, something like the roots of a sacred tree. Although there is no function to store and utilize this natural energy, just absorbing it is enough for Uchiha Nanga to learn the complete Sage mode. The Sage mode obtained in this way should be more adaptable to itself than the sages in the three holy places. After all, those who are not from our race must have different minds. A group of non-human creatures from the three holy places have to participate in the struggle of humans. Uchiha Nanga does not see how this is good for them. In this way, the other professors is the fairy mode really reassuring? Obviously not, so Uchiha Nanga never thought of learning from them from the beginning to the end. Even if there was no star in Hoshigakure village, he would look for ways to absorb natural energy from Jugo. Even if Jugo couldn't do it, Uchiha Minagawa had also analyzed the reasons why the three holy places could absorb natural energy. Whether it's a slug, a toad, or a snake in a dragon's cave, they can have a fairy mode that adapts to themselves. Perhaps the more reason is that they can breathe through their skin. Of course, according to Uchiha Nanga's speculation, the snakes in Ryachi Cave should have grown from loaches absorbing natural energy. This can also explain why they can also absorb natural energy. As long as Uchiha Minagawa merges with the star, he not only has the ability to absorb chakra, complementing the blood power of the Sacred Tree series, but also has the ability to shape and materialize chakra from him. At that time, you can use the repulsive properties of chakra at a very small cost, and all long-range attacks will be directly deflected, without having to worry about the chakra naturally dissipating too much. It seems that I also need to buy some weight-bearing equipment. While exercising, I can also exercise the repulsive properties of chakra for a long time. This can also strengthen my ability to control chakra and kill 3 birds with 1 stone. Having made a decision, Uchiha Nanga did not delay any longer, just did what he said, and immediately came to the ninja tool shop. As soon as he entered the door, Uchiha Nanhi found a familiar person, a classmate who was arranged to come in. "Hey, isn't this Nanhi-san? Are you here to buy ninja tools too? We are really destined, Nanhi-kun." The pharmacist caressed his slightly reflective glasses and greeted Uchiha Nanga with a smile. He didn't know, but he thought they had a good relationship. During this period of time, Uchiha Minagawa did not quit the ninja school and continued to go to school as a clone. Also yesterday, the clone came back with the news that Yakushi Kabuto was joining the class. According to the original story, Kabuto Yakushi revealed that he took the Chunin exam 7 times in 4 years. It was around this time that he graduated from the ninja school following the normal procedures. However, he never expected that he would be transferred directly to Minga Uchiha's class. Because Orochimaru lost contact with Shimura Danzo, did he send him to investigate? Maybe he already has a clue and is targeting him. Did you realize that the person who was in the classroom yesterday was a clone, so you met me here by chance today? He is indeed a high-level spy. Quote. Uchiha Nanga remained calm and immediately analyzed the reason. It seems that Orochimaru has already been in contact with Itachi, who joined the Akatsuki organization, but it doesn't matter. If he joins in, he can try out the other gods I developed myself. This Yakushi Kabuto is also a talent. As for Orochimaru, maybe he really has a conflict with the Sharingan. Uchiha Minami showed a slight smile and waved to Yakushi Kabuto with enthusiasm. Haha, isn't this Kabuto-san? Even skipping class allowed us to meet here. It seems that we are really destined. As an old member of the class, I also have the obligation to help the newly transferred classmates. What does Kabuto-san want to buy? I will pay for this consumption. It can be regarded as a welcome gift to you. Quote. Uchiha Minagawa didn't show any sign of anger. He directly stepped forward and put his arm around the other party's shoulders, indicating that the other party could choose whatever he wanted, as if they were close buddies and didn't care about spending money for each other. Such a familiar performance made Kabuto Yakushi feel that there seemed to be something wrong, and he suspected that his identity might have been discovered by the other party. But thinking that he was originally affiliated with the roots of Konoha, and now that he had Orochimaru's original arrangement in Konoha's intelligence network, it was impossible to expose him, and he was no longer suspicious. Maybe the other party just found my information in the root file, so they thought I was from the Hokage's side. However, on the surface, I am indeed on the Hokage's side now. Indeed, Kabuto Yakushi was sent to Konoha by Orochimaru as a root ninja who had just returned to the village on a mission. As soon as he returned to Konoha, Yakushi Kabuto received a summons from the Hokage, and it was a matter of course. The Hokage arranged for him to be in Uchiha Nanga's class, approaching and monitoring the opponent's chess pieces. In fact, Orochimaru was attacked by Uchiha Itachi, and thus he had the blood ambition to covet Uchiha. At the same time, the spies in Konoha village also received news that Shimura Danzo and his forces were destroyed by Uchiha. And now Orochimaru is still preparing for the reincarnation ceremony, and he is even more busy collecting potential ninjas to form a force. Therefore, he had no choice but to send his capable subordinate, Kabuto Yakushi, who had rich experience in espionage, to come to Konoha to explore the news about Uchiha and Konoha and prepare for the subsequent plan. Yakushi Kabuto saw that the other party was so enthusiastic. Whether the other party wanted to get arrangements from the top management of Konoha or had other ideas about him, as long as he could get close to the other party and find out the information about this key person who changed the situation in Konoha, then it doesn't matter anymore. Let me ask, what better excuse could there be than to owe the other party a favor and thus lay the groundwork for the next contact? Therefore, Kabuto Yakushi was not at all restrained. He pushed up the glasses on the bridge of his nose with a smile and thanked generously. Thank you very much, Nanhi-san, for your generosity. After thanking him, he was not polite and directly selected some ninja tools, and kept introducing them to Uchiha Nanga. Seeing this, Uchiha Nanhi felt funny in his heart. You can go ahead and ask for it. Sooner or later, you will become my subordinate. Then use your talents to thank me properly. The first contact should not be too much, so after the two of them picked out what they needed, they stopped talking too much, and Uchiha Minami happily paid the bill. Before they parted, both parties did not forget to make good arrangements for next time. An agreement to practice together. Soon Uchiha Nanhi returned home, but when Uchiha Nanhi approached the door, he found Uchiha Fugaku waiting for him in front of his house. Out of politeness, Uchiha Minami immediately introduced the other party into his home. After making tea and the two of them sat down, Uchiha Minami took the lead and asked. Clan leader, I wonder why you came to me this time. Is there something wrong with the clan? Well, no, everything in the clan is developing in a good direction. Although the villagers and ninjas in the village still have grudges against the Uchiha clan and are unwilling to get close to them, they no longer have as much resistance as before, and their attitudes have also changed. A big improvement. I came here mainly because of you. Quote. Oh, my business. This made Uchiha Nanhi a little confused. Isn't he doing well now? He always wants to find himself a wife now. Uchiha Fugaku didn't hold back and directly stated the reason for coming this time. Nanga-kun, you are about to graduate. I am here to ask you whether you will choose to join our Uchiha security department or join the team as a mission ninja. Uchiha Fugaku certainly hopes that Uchiha Minga can serve as the face of Uchiha and join the ninja team. This will not only change Uchiha's current strategy, but also use the strength of Uchiha Minga to increase Uchiha's influence in the village and the outside world. Prestige. Uchiha Nanga also reacted. According to the time, it is indeed less than a week before he graduates. At that time, he should consider whether to join the security department or join the team leading the Jonin. Of course, Uchiha Nanga also understood what Uchiha Fugaku meant. After thinking about it for a while, if he joined the security department, he would naturally be very free. Not only would he have a lot of time to practice, but he would also be able to keep abreast of the trends in the village. If you go to be a mission ninja, because of the mission, you need to work on the mission for a long time, and you will not be able to respond in time to whatever happens to the village and Uchiha, and you will probably be disgusted by Sarutobi Hiruzen. But being a mission ninja also has its advantages. Not only can you leave the village openly, but you can also get in touch with other ninjas. In the past, I was busy improving my strength, and then I was busy dealing with the danger of genocide. I didn't get a good feel for everything in this ninja world. Anyway, with my own strength, I am not afraid of any retaliation, so I don't need to pay attention to those unreasonable tasks. At worst, I can just crush them with force. The village and the Uchiha were monitored by the spore technique, and by Zezai, who had previously been enslaved by other gods, could react instantly to anything that really happened with the convenience of the divine power. What's more important is that the Uchiha clan's foreign policies are now proposed by themselves. It is impossible for them not to work hard to set an example, but to ask others to do the same. After thinking about it for a while, Uchiha Nanga did not disappoint Uchiha Fugaku, and nodded directly and said, "I will join the ninja team. Don't worry, I will make Uchiha's reputation resounding throughout the ninja world." When Uchiha Fugaku heard Uchiha Minga's decision, he was even more grateful to Uchiha Minga for having such a big picture view. After all, in Uchiha Fugaku's view, the other party has made so many contributions to the family at the age of 10 years old, and he is also extremely outstanding. Now, he resolutely chooses to continue to contribute to the family, regardless of the possibility of being disgusted by the Hokage. This is very rare, and these are exactly the responsibilities that he, the leader of the clan, should have. Therefore, Uchiha Fugaku reciprocated the favor and decided to put the other party's affairs first, and immediately asked, "I wonder if Nanhi-kun has any special requirements for the team to go. I can also go to the Hokage to make arrangements in the name of my family." Uchiha Nanga glanced at the other party in surprise, not expecting that the village could allocate teams and the family could also intervene. However, Uchiha Nanga knew that there would definitely be Kabuto Yakushi in this team. I am afraid that the family would not have any involvement in the team allocation this time. Therefore, Uchiha Nanga did not make things difficult for the other party. "Clan leader, don't worry too much, just win over a few family ninjas at most. I can deal with all the adverse factors." Sure enough, the graduation test of the ninja school was held just 3 days later. Naturally, Uchiha Minagawa successfully passed the test of only the basic 3 body skills. During this period, he didn't have much communication with Kabuto Yakushi. At most, he only nodded and said hello. Kabuto Yakushi seemed to understand that he would be assigned to the same team as Uchiha Nanga, so he was not in a hurry to get together. Today is the time for the division of classes in the ninja school, and Uchiha Nanga is also here in his true form. Soon, the teacher on the podium read the list of the team that Uchiha Minga was in. Class 7, Uchiha Minami, Yakushi Kabuto, Hinata Tama. Uchiha Nanga looked at Kabuto Yakushi in the distance, and the other person did not look surprised at all. "Is that true, Yakushi Kabuto? Sarutobi Hiruzen, I'm afraid your plan will fail." Seeing that the other party turned to smile at him, Uchiha Nanhi also nodded in response, and then looked at a girl from Hinata's house beside him. As the Hinata family separated, it seems that the Fugaku clan leader has made a lot of efforts. It's good that from daily interactions with her, we can understand the attitude of the Hyuga clan. The above is the entire content of this briefing. Your team leader will come to pick you up in the afternoon. Dismissal now. As soon as the teacher left, many students gathered together in groups of 3, and Uchiha Minami was no exception. Kabuto Yakushi and Hinata Tama also came to his side. Nanhi-kun, I didn't expect that we were actually assigned to the same team. This is my dream. As soon as he came over, Yakushi Kabuto said with a smile on his face, as if it was an honor to be assigned to him. Haha, let's each other. Uchiha Nanhi also sneered in his heart, let's see if you can still laugh after I subdue Orochimaru. Hello, my name is Hinata Tama. I'm very happy to be assigned to the same class as you. I hope you two can take care of me in the future. The girl from the Hinata family next to her was generous and polite, and she played with them in a standard manner. Call. Afterwards, both Uchiha Minagawa and Yakushi Kabuto introduced their names one after another. Later, at Hinata Tama's suggestion, they could have a dinner together at noon to get acquainted with each other while the leading teacher only came in the afternoon. After some pleasantries at the dinner party, Uchiha Minagawa discovered that Hyuga Tama was not a simple person who separated from the family. Judging from the opponent's clear-cut and assertive behavior, the Hyuga family also intended to arrange for her to form a team with Uchiha Minagawa. It seems that after the last rude incident, the Hinata family can no longer sit still. After all, they were both members of the Tojutsu family, and there was the Hyuga Hazashi incident in front of them. When the village's top management and the Uchiha clan were showing off, the Hyuga clan chose wisely and sided with the obviously stronger Uchiha. This is really good news. Maybe this will be a good start. When other families see the Hyuga clan taking sides, they can quickly make up their minds. Quote, in this way, the time for Konoha village to change its dynasty is not far away. The afternoon came quickly. After the teacher in charge encouraged all the students, the teacher in charge came one after another to pick up the members of his team. In the end, only the leading teacher of Uchiha Nanga's team was left, who had not yet arrived. With this unreliable lateness style, our team leader won't be Kakashi, right? Uchiha Nanga also complained in his heart. However, things did not go as he expected. The leading ninja was not Kakashi, but someone whom Uchiha Nanga never expected. Boom! The 3 people who were still waiting boredly in the classroom were instantly startled by the sound and looked intently at the podium in front of them. Then I saw a toad occupying half the height of the classroom appeared on the podium. Isn't this the toad from MT? Meowmoo, could it be that our leader is Jiraiya? When did he come back? The other 2 were okay and didn't show too much surprise. At Hinata's current age, they didn't understand what the toad represented. They only regarded the toad as an ordinary psychic beast. The leader of the team was a very out-of-the-box teacher. Just a ninja. Kabuto Yakushi had been engaged in espionage missions for a long time and had sufficient psychological quality. He may have already known the news, so he didn't have any special expression. But Uchiha Nanga knew that in Konoha village, the toad represented Jiraiya, and he was surprised that his leader turned out to be one of the famous Konoha Sannin. Sure enough, as the white smoke dissipated from the toad's head, the white-haired figure with a strange shape was revealed. I am the Toad Elf Sensu Taoist of MT. Meowmoo. I am also known as Toad Immortal Jiraiya. Jiraiya posed, and seeing no reaction from the crowd, he jumped off the toad, and the toad also turned white. The smoke disappeared into the classroom. My future subordinates, it's a pleasure to meet you. Jiraiya showed no embarrassment at all, looking at Uchiha Nanga and the other 3 with a smile on his face. The legendary Sannin, Toad Sage Jiraiya. It's such an honor to be your student leader. Kabuto Yakushi spoke first, looking very surprised and honored. Jiraiya saw that someone finally responded, still looking like a little fanboy, and the smile on his face became more exaggerated. Where, ha ha ha. He touched the back of his head, opened his mouth and said with a big smile. He was obviously very happy but waved his hands to show that it was all in vain and he didn't care at all. However, Hinata Yu didn't care at all about the other persons pretending to be a superior person, but instead looked disgusted. After all, the school books only briefly mentioned the Konoha Sannin, and more of them recorded the achievements of the 3rd Hokage. Naturally, Hyugatama didn't know what the Konoha Sannin represented. What, It turns out that our leading Jonin is a wretched uncle who loves to be late. I have never heard of the reputation of Tota Mortal, but I have often heard adults mention it because there is an old white-haired pervert in the village who warns me to stay away. Quote. Gray hair, old age, pervert. Hearing the words of the Hinata girl in front of him, Jiraiya instantly changed from a happy state to a depressed state. He kept muttering these words to describe him in his mouth, looking like he was deeply shocked. I originally expected that this young girl would show an expression of admiration after hearing his name, but I didn't expect that I would have such an image in the hearts of beautiful girls. This pair of white-haired boy who claims to have charmed thousands of girls has never imagined that he would show admiration. Come on, get hit hard. In this regard, Uchiha Nanga watched with cold eyes and showed no intention to participate in the interaction. It was very conspicuous at the moment when everyone was expressing their opinions. From the perspective of Uchiha Nanga, who knew most of Jiraiya's deeds, Jiraiya was just like that. His habit of peeking at other people's baths was really hard to accept, even though the other party hadn't done anything excessive. But let me ask, which family doesn't have a female dependent? This shortcoming can be forgiven if he has a great spirit of love that is rare in the ninja world and is very rational in practicing his own ninja. Then he kept choosing to escape for an illusory prophecy, thereby letting down many people who had deep expectations for him. This made Uchiha Nanga stay away from him. When Tsunade's brother died and she needed his support to promote medical reform, he was outside teaching the children of prophecy. When his disciple's daughter-in-law was in labor and the seal was unstable, and the Nine Tails plundered Konoha and needed his help, he was looking for the son of prophecy outside. When Uzumaki Naruto was ostracized in Konoha and needed his care in a difficult life, he was still looking for the son of prophecy. What's even more speechless is that you said that his lifelong obsession was the child of prophecy, but after he confirmed that the child of prophecy was Nagato, he only taught them some ninjutsu and then chose to leave. And when Nagato and the others were practicing his concept of peace, when they encountered a crisis and needed his help, he didn't know where to sneak around and peek. This may be the reason why Nagato killed his mentor later. Jiraiya also noticed the out-of-place Uchiha Nanga next to him. After frowning slightly, he passed by calmly, planning to have a good talk with this key figure in the conflict between Konoha and Uchiha later. So, Jiraiya stopped talking and asked everyone to introduce themselves. Next, let's get to know each other, and let me set an example first. My name is Jiraiya. I like collecting materials and teaching future kittens to grow up. I hate being disturbed when collecting materials and people who don't pay attention to their companions. My dream is to become a famous writer in the ninja world and make the village better. Okay, that's pretty much it. Let's start with this cute girl. Quote. When Hinata was named, she looked at Jiraiya strangely and murmured in a low voice, "The first half of the sentence is your true appearance. What are you talking about, Junior Konoha?" Aha, cough. Apparently her whisper was still heard by the person involved, so Jiraiya could only make an awkward fake cough, indicating that it was time for the other party to introduce himself. Hinagatama, however, did not have the slightest consciousness of speaking ill of people in person, and introduced himself without fear of the occasion. My name is Hinata Tama. I like to tinker with different things on my own. I hate sticking to rules and being restricted from freedom. My dream is to become a ninja who can stand alone. Jiraiya looked at Hugatama in surprise. He didn't expect that he could have such a positive attitude in an environment like the separation of families. He couldn't help but look at him with admiration. She is a good girl who works hard to make progress. Okay, next, let this boy with glasses introduce me. Yakushi Kabuto adjusted his glasses, still smiling kindly. My name is Kabuto Yakushi. I was born in an orphanage, so what I like is the carefree life in the orphanage. I hate people who take everything away from me. My dream is to find the meaning of my existence. Hearing Yakushi Kabuto's self-introduction, everyone present looked at each other in surprise, especially Hinata Tama, who asked directly. What's going on? Kabuto-san, have you ever been bullied by anyone? Don't worry, we will be teammates from now on. If you have any difficulties, we can help you solve them together. Don't forget, our leading teacher is one of the legendary Sannin. Quote. Hinata Tama's words have all been said here. Although Jiraiya knew the information about the members of his class before coming here, he also knew the fact that Yakushi Kabuto was selected from the orphanage by Nibu. With the inhumanity of Nemoto ninja, Jiraiya was somewhat sympathetic to the other party's training method, so Jiraiya immediately assured. Haha, of course, you have to believe in the abilities of my white-haired boy, Jiraiya. If you encounter any difficulties, you can come to me to help you solve them. In Konoha, I can easily handle most difficulties. It doesn't matter, it's all in the past. I just sigh casually now, don't worry about it. Facing the two people's concerns, Kabuto Yakushi waved them away lightly. Judging from his still smiling expression, it seemed as if those things had passed. After all, Hugatama is a girl and has a more delicate mind. She knew that the other party did not want them to see his scars, so she immediately changed the subject and said to Jiraiya with a look of disgust. Hey, you're still a white-haired boy, weren't you the totem mortal just now? Do you dislike the people in the village's opinion of you? Haha, Jiraiya waved his hands and said understandingly, no way, I just have multiple titles. These are the compliments given to me by everyone in the ninja world. They are not worth mentioning, not worth mentioning. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.